Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto hates his family and leaves Konoha part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Damn it, a small 6-year-old blonde-haired boy cursed as he was being chased by a group of villagers. The reason for this was due to the boy's constant pranks he would play on the village in order to get attention. For years he would try to get the attention of others. Why, you ask? It was because on his birthday the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked Konoha. The Yandame Hokage Minato Namikaze was able to defeat the nine-tailed beast and sealed inside Naruto's twin sister Yui Namikaze. Somehow both Minato and Kushina both survived. Yui was seen as the savior of Konoha. All seemed to be well except for the fact that Naruto's parents didn't really look after Naruto. Instead they both put all of their attention on Yui. They started to training her about 2 whole years before they even considered teaching Naruto anything. Yui was a natural at ninjutsu. She was already in the academy by the time she was 5 and was considered just a big genius as her dad was when he was a genin. For the last few years people would address Naruto as the Yandame's son or Yui-sama Senai, and they wouldn't call Naruto by his name, and he started feeling left out and unimportant. Naruto soon after started his pranking on the people of Konoha, and because of that was seen as a disgrace by many people who thought how could the son of the noble Yandame Hokage play such pranks. Many people gave him cold glares and thought that the small boy was somehow the Kyuubi's reincarnation that was sullying the name of their beloved Hokage. Hence most of the villagers refused to even see the small blonde boy as the son of the Yandame. Now a few Chunins joined the mob and soon Naruto was unable to escape as the Chunin grabbed him and pinned him on the wall before harshly punching him. "Today we restore the honor of the Yandame," one of the men in the mob yelled as others roared in agreement. Why are you doing this?" Naruto cried as he was being restrained. "Don't worry, we won't kill you, demon, but the shame you bring to the Yandame ends today," one of the Chunin knocked the small blonde out. Soon some jounin came to the mob. One of the Chunin handed Naruto to one of them and said, "You know what must be done. Take him out of the village and dump him somewhere where he can't be found." The jounin that now held Naruto nodded in agreement. He ran away, leaving Konoha, and ran at a very fast pace. Soon he came across a river into which he tossed little Naruto and then turned back and ran away. Back in Konoha his so-called family didn't even notice that he was missing and went on with their lives, which revolved around their daughter, who despite knowing her brother was missing didn't speak up as she thought it was one of his usual pranks. The unconscious Naruto started flowing in the direction of the flow of water, to somewhere where Konoha wouldn't bother him. With a team of Kumo nin, asterisk. "Alright then, that completes the mission," said Darui. He was a tan man with white hair that covered one of his eyes. He had a tattoo for black lightning on his arm. The other 2 Chunin with him nodded and were about to leave when one of the Chunins noticed something in the river that was moving towards the waterfall. Looking at it closely he noticed that it was a small boy. He immediately rushed towards the boy and pulled him it. The boy was none other than Naruto, who was now shivering because of the cold, and him being wet to the bone. The second Chunin, looking at the kid's reaction, immediately used a small fire jutsu to heat the boy up and to dry his clothes. Soon Naruto stopped shivering and gingerly opened his eyes to see 2 concerned-looking Chunins and 1 bored jounin. He quickly looked around his surroundings and realized that he must have been thrown somewhere in the water and was now miles away from Konoha. He looked down dejectedly and unknowingly channeled chakra into the ground that caused a few small crystals to emerge, something that the Kumo nin didn't miss. Darui then looked interested and asked, "Kid, what's your name?" "My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze," Naruto quietly replied as he waited for them to lash out and kill him. "You are the Hokage's son. What are you doing in a place like this?" asked Darui, who was now shocked. "My parents ignore me for my sister. They haven't even started training me and hardly pay attention to me. The villagers all don't even know my name. So I started playing pranks to get attention. The village ninjas caught me yesterday and threw me into that river, saying that they are restoring the Hokage's reputation." Naruto was now crying openly. He had never shown his emotions in the village, but today he couldn't control himself. Darui was a very laid-back person and rarely became angry. So when you saw him shaking in anger at Naruto's story, you knew that the matter was beyond serious. That fucking village, how can they do this to someone? Specifically a kid. And he has a Kekai Genka as well. And he also made my tattoo react. Boss will be interested in this. I am taking him with me back to Kumo, Darui furiously thought. "So kid, what are you gonna do now? Do you want us to drop you off back to Konoha?" Darui boredly asked. Naruto frantically shook his head and with desperation said, "Please don't take me back. My parents ignore me, the villagers hate me. Kill me but don't take me back, please. Darui was now heartbroken. Just what had that wretched village done to this young boy? He immediately hugged the hysteric Naruto, who was sobbing loudly. He rocked the boy a little, calming him down, and said, "Hey, calm down, we won't take you back to Hellhole. Do you want to come back with us to Kumogakure? I promise you will treated much better over there." Naruto didn't answer and only nodded. Darui shifted Naruto onto his back and nodded to the two Chunin, who nodded, and all three of them started jumping towards Kumo. Naruto soon couldn't control his emotions and showed his side as a kid as he cheered into the air as it felt he was flying. He was inwardly happy he was free from his shackles and was now moving to a brighter future. Darui and the Chunins didn't stop for a break and were determined to reach Kumo as soon as possible. After 2 days they finally arrived, and as soon as they signed themselves in at the gate, Darui dismissed the Chunins and himself proceeded to go to Raikage's office. He was walking in a leisured pace as Naruto was now safely in the village. As they were walking, Naruto, who had awoken when they stopped at the gate, started taking in the sights of Kumo. It was a place full of mountains that were surrounded by clouds. There weren't all that many trees, but the place in Naruto's opinion was more beautiful than Konoha. The place was lively with shinobis running on the roofs and the civilians moving around the city completing their day-to-day tasks. Naruto strangely liked the setting. Soon they entered the Raikage building, and after exchanging a few words with Mabui, the Raikage secretary, Darui made his way and knocked on the Raikage's office after receiving a come-in. He and Naruto walked in the room. As soon as Naruto, he was awestruck. The man was huge. He was very muscular and was very tall. Naruto was so awed he couldn't help but exclaim, "Whoa, he is a mountain." The exclamation caused both Darui and the Raikage to chuckle in good faith. The Raikage then turned to Darui and said, "Explain." Nodding, Darui said, "Mission was a success. All the missing nin were eliminated. This is Naruto Namikaze. We found him unconscious and floating in a river near to us before he woke up and left with us on his own will." I was now surprised. Why would the son of his arch-rival would willingly leave them and join Kumo? He eyed the kid, who was looking at the floor with fear evident on his face. What surprised I was that he wasn't fearing where he was. Naruto was comfortable being in Kumo, so what was he afraid of? I then eyed Darui and sent him a questioning look. Sighing, Darui placed his hand on Naruto, prompting him to look at Darui. Darui then nodded as Mabui entered the room with a stack of papers. It was then that Naruto began his story, this time telling the unedited version and revealing everything he had to live through. Near the end he broke into tears again, causing Mabui to rush and pull him into a hug. I was shaking in raw fury. How could someone favor one child over the other and then forget about the other one? And how blinded were the villagers and ninjas? Every kid plays pranks. Why did they kidnap and then dump him out in the open at the mercy of literally everything? His hatred for Konoha skyrocketed at that moment, and he decided one thing: he was going to take Naruto as his apprentice and train him personally in the ways of the shinobi. He then looked at the sniffing Naruto, who was still in Mabui's embrace, and in a tender voice spoke and said, "Naruto, would you like to join Kumo and become a shinobi here?" Naruto immediately nodded. I smiled at him, which caused Naruto to relax. I then stood up and said, "Very well then. I will draw up your paperwork to live here. Also, I will be training you personally, so you better be ready to put in a lot of hard work." Naruto nodded strongly. He had stars in his eyes. Being trained by Kage was still an exciting prospect for the young boy. Darui, though, was surprised and spoke, saying, "If that's the case, I will be training him along with you. He has the ability to use black lightning. My tattoo react when I first saw him. Also, he has a Kekai Jinka." I nodded before looking interested. He then asked, "Which one?" Turning to Naruto, he said, "Naruro, imagine a rose and channel chakra into your palm." Naruto did just that, and soon a shiny black crystal rose appeared. I now had a shit-eating grin. His student had a very rare Kekai Jinka and an unusually high affinity for lightning. He would grow up to be a very strong shinobi. I, however, then asked Naruto a question that would change him forever. "Naruto, if we train you and you become strong, what would you do if Konoha and your family came to get you? Also, what would you do with that power?" I asked. "I won't forgive my family, including my godparents, ever. They don't deserve my forgiveness. And with that power, I will protect Kumogakure from any and everything. I will become the ultimate protector and will then take your seat as the Godoime Raikage." Naruto finished with a grin. I chuckled. The boy had given a better answer than he had expected. "Alright then, the only thing left now is to decide where you will be staying," I said. "I would like to adopt him as my son," Mabui immediately replied, causing Darui and I to raise their eyes amusedly as Naruto looked at her in hope. Why you would really adopt me?" Naruto shakily asked. "I would if you want me to, Naruto. Would you like to be my Sochi?" Mabui asked in a tender voice. "Kachin!" Naruto shouted as he lunged into the open arms of Mabui. Well, that settles everything. Mabui, you can take the rest of the day of take Naruto home and get some shopping done. I will draw up the necessary paperwork, I said as Mabui nodded thankfully and left with Naruto in her arms. As soon as she left the room, I activated the privacy seals before smashing his table into smithereens. Those Fu * king bastards, how dare they do something like that to a child? He growled. Darui nodded and said, well, they will soon see what they missed out on. He is gifted. You saw how perfectly he manipulated his Shoten without any previous manipulation exercise. Also, his lightning affinity is strong. I felt a good jolt when I saw him. We may have someone with the Shodame's power. I chuckled evilly. He would turn Naruto into a freakishly strong shinobi, and when the time came, Konoha would pay for its mistake. Meanwhile in Konoha, Yui Namikaze was a worried girl. Her brother had been missing for 2 whole days now. She rushed into her dad's office where her father, mother, godparents, and the third Hokage were discussing something. Yui, what's wrong, baby? Asked Kushina as she walked over and scooped her daughter into her lap. It's Naruto and I haven't seen him for 2 days now. He isn't home and hasn't done any pranks since his last one last week, she urgently said. Before anyone could reply, the Sandame shouted, what? Mobilize 3 tracking teams and bring back my grandson. After a chorus of heist, the Umbus in the building left, leaving a fuming Sandame and 4 confused others. Why are you worried, Hiruzen? It will be one of his pranks. Don't worry, they will be back soon, Minato nonchalantly said. A furious Hiruzen turned to Minato and snarled, are you kidding me? Your son has been missing for 3 fucking days and that is what you have to say? He does it all the time, sensei. I always reprimand him and tell him to be like Yui-chan, but he never listens, Tsunade said, trying to defuse the situation. She is right, sensei. I mean, he is hardly social with any of us and always bugs Yui-chan's training. He is just a troublemaker. I am sure there is nothing to worry about, Jiraiya added. I will be sure to punish him when he returns home. I will completely remove his prankster tendencies, Databane, Kushina said. It was after this that Hiruzen completely lost it. He was already worried about Naruto's safety after he heard murmurs in the crowd, and the insolence of the idiots in front of him was making it all the much worse. So he finally shouted, are you fucking kidding me? The kid only pranked your sorry asses so that he could gain your attention. Did you ever even talk to him, try and get to know him? Did you ever even think about training him? Don't give me the Yui excuse. You could have made a fucking shadow clone for him. Mark my words, if there was anything to happen to my surrogate grandson, there will be hell to pay. Hiruzen finished, shocking everyone present. Now when they thought about it, they realized that Hiruzen's words carried the truth. None of the 5 mentioned knew anything about Naruto. His likes, dislikes, his dream, his talent, everything was an uncharted plane for them. All 4 of the other adults looked down in shame when they realized that they had indeed neglected a 6-year-old from his birth. However, they decided to make it up to him as soon as he came back and then start training him seriously. However, all their plans were dashed to the ground when the ANBU commander reappeared and said, Hokage-sama, Kushina-sama, Jiraiya-sama, Tsunade-sama and Sandame-sama, Naruto Namikaze is not in the village. According to the talk in the street, some Konoha nin kidnapped him and dumped him far away from the village because they felt that he was sullying your name. As soon as he finished, a very potent killing intent filled the room and was felt by half the village. It was one that could have matched the Kyuubi on its day. The one emitting the killing intent was none other than the Sandame. Everyone except Minato was shaking under the pressure. Hiruzen then calmly said, am I to believe that the Umbu stationed by me to watch over Naruto were defeated? The commander began to sweat under the pressure, as he replied, no sir, we had a large number of A to S rank missions, and the ANBUs were outperforming them. I see. Well, your next mission will to catch every single bastard involved in the kidnapping before sending them to Ibiki. Tell him that I give both him and Anko a free rein into doing whatever they like on them, Hiruzen calmly said as he stopped releasing his intent. When the ANBU left, the whole room was quiet. No one said a thing. Until Minato spoke and Hiruzen but was cut off when Hiruzen spoke and said, it's Sarutobi Dano for you, Hokage-sama. I may not publicly announce you as an enemy as that will be bad for the village, but privately we aren't friends anymore and perhaps never will be. Next to speak was Jiraiya, who tried and said, I am sorry, son, but he too was interrupted by Hiruzen, who said, there is no need to apologize to me. The way you 3 turned out was a failure on my part. God, I should have taken Naruto as an apprentice when we talked, and he told me everything. It would have been nice to have at least one student who wasn't a complete failure as a human being. I resign my post as an advisor, Hokage-sama, and I shall be taking my leave. He stood and left, leaving 4 hurt shinobi and 1 passed out academy student behind. All of them having the same thoughts. Please be safe, Naruto. It had been a day and Naruto was walking down the street getting used to his new home. As he was walking, he saw a mob entering a dark alley of the village. Curious, he decided to follow, and saw that one of the men had thrown a girl around his age into the wall. She had her clothes ripped and was on the ground. He then saw a man bend down and move closer to her. Immediately connecting the dots, Naruto threw a blunt kunai at the man's head, causing the whole mob to turn and look at him. Glaring at them, Naruto asked, "What the hell are you doing? She is just a kid." "She isn't a kid, she is a demon. Instead of stopping us, you should be helping us torture her, kid," a random man said. "And how is she a demon?" Naruto exasperatedly asked. "She has the two-tailed Biju sealed inside her, and that makes her a demon," another woman screeched. Sighing, Naruto said, "Alright, break it up and go home. I am the student of the Raikage. If you don't leave this instant, I will report this incident to him." The people paled at the thought of being confronted by the Raikage and grumbled before about demons and demon lovers before leaving. Naruto then made way to the girl who was cowering and desperately trying to cover herself up. "DDD, don't hit me," she said as she felt Naruto come up to her. He sighed. He knew this feeling. It was worse for her because of her gender and almost being raped. Naruto then quickly removed his jacket and wrapped it around the girl, who at first stiffened at his touch, but then relaxed. He then brought her into a hug. As soon as he hugged her, she felt all of her pent-up emotions explode, and she started sobbing. Naruto, on the other hand, was worried. He didn't know what to do, as the only hug he had ever gotten was by Mabui, and that too yesterday. Naruto then let his instincts take over and tried his best to calm the crying girl in his arms. He slowly began rocking her and rubbing her back in a soothing manner as he let the girl cry on his shoulders. This was the scene that the Raikage walked in on. By the time he had arrived, the girl had already fallen asleep and was clutching Naruto like a lifeline. Sighing, Naruto stood up and shifted the girl so that he was giving her a piggyback ride. Turning to the Raikage, he said, "I am taking her to my place. She needs someone with her today." I nodded and then instructed two of his Volt to escort both the kids to Mabui's apartment. Soon they made it to the apartment where Mabui was waiting. After explaining everything to her, she nodded and let Naruto carry the girl to his room. Naruto then laid her on his bed and was about to leave when he saw that the girl was still holding on to his hand and didn't seem to want to let go. Naruto then sighed and got on the bed himself. He then wrapped an arm around the girl, giving her extra warmth. She unknowingly purred and snuggled into him. Naruto was a little red before he drifted off to sleep. Mabui looked on with a small smile on her face. "You know they will be perfect for each other, right?" From the shadows a smiling eye appeared and said, "You got that right. Both have painful pasts and can understand pain. This will be interesting to say the least." Nodding, the two of them left, closing the door, letting the two kids sleep. The next morning when Naruto woke up, the first thing he heard was purring. "Is there a cat on me?" he thought before opening his eyes and seeing the girl from last night snuggling into his chest. He blushed a bit before he smiled at the serene look on the girl's face. Half an hour later, the girl woke up and started looking around before her eyes fell on a smiling Naruto. She felt her cheeks heat up before she remembered how Naruto had helped her yesterday. "Thank you for yesterday, Mr. Naruto." "Uzumaki Naruto, what's your name?" Naruto asked back in a kind voice. "And I, Yugito," the girl replied. "Hey, will you be my friend? I am new in the village and don't know many people," Naruto excitedly asked. "Are you sure people don't like me here?" Yugito replied in a whisper. "Oh, don't worry, they are idiots who don't understand the difference between a kunai and seal," Naruto answered with a wave of his hand. Yugito then hugged him tightly as she whispered a thank you. Soon Mabui arrived and reminded them both of their respective training times. Both jumped up and rushed to get ready. Before they left, Mabui informed them that I had given the green light for Yugito to stay here. Both kids smiled before rushing to their respective training grounds. Naruto to training 7 and Yugito was to go to a sushi shop where her sensei would collect her and teach her how to use her biju. As they both started their training, they had one thought. I will be strong enough to protect my precious ones. With the determination to succeed locked in, they began their training. Time skip 6 years. Asterisk. Naruto was standing on the Raikage mountain and was overlooking the whole village. This was his favorite spot in the entire village. He would come here and automatically his heart would be at peace. As he stood there, he couldn't help but feel excited, as tomorrow he would finally be a genin and would take the first step to his dream of succeeding the Eye and becoming the Godoime Raikage. As he overlooked the village, he couldn't help but reminiscence on his 6 years at Kumo. He smiled as he remembered his training and his relationship with Yugito, which had grown past friendship and had become an intimate one. Over the years he had become very proficient in taijutsu, and had become a Kenjutsu master thanks to his masters being among the best in the elemental nations, and the unique Uzumaki style that he had found was the best in the elemental nations. He had completed 3 stages of manipulation for all 3 of his elements, and had 25 jutsus for each of them. His control over his shoten had increased dramatically, and he had created nearly 55 jutsus for it. His training with Black Lightning was the toughest, and he had only managed up to 2 stages of its manipulation, but that alone, according to his sensei Darui, was nothing short of amazing given his age. However, the most notable of his skills was Fuinjutsu. The art seemed to come to as naturally as breathing. He had started it during the 2nd year at Kumo and had instantly come to love. Thanks to the Kage Bunshin that he had stolen from his old village while leaving, he had in just over a month gone through all the Fuinjutsu material the village had. It disappointed him as it only made him a level 3 master. Though all of that changed when he was tasked to go with Darui and Ai's brother B to the ruins of Whirlpool. Normally the land was off limits considering the gigantic whirlpools that surrounded it. But seeing that he was the blood son of the former princess of the Whirlpools recognized his Uzumaki blood and let him and the 2 jonins with him enter. After some exploration they came across something that looked like a royal castle. Naruto splattered his blood on the entrance, which accepted his royal blood and let him enter. There he was surprised to find that nearly they had preserved all of their seals and their jutsus. Naruto, while exploring, found a summoning contract of the sea serpents. As soon as he signed it, he was transported to the land of the sea serpents, also known as Mount Atlantis. There the boss summoned questioned him and checked if he really was an Uzumaki before accepting him as a summoner. As he was the latest summoner, he had received the blade of the last Yuzukage, the Yukihira. It was a purely white blade that exuded power. He had also received the 5 other Kenjutsu style that had been created by the Uzumakis. After that he was transported back to the land of the Whirlpool, where a worried Darui was waiting for him. He explained the situation to both of the jonin, who then nodded. Naruto then summoned a sea serpent and had him take all of the seals, jutsus, and weapons from here to empty Atlantis. There they would be protected and he would learn them slowly. The serpent nodded before taking them away. Both the jonin understood why he did that. It was simply because they were clan secrets, and he had every right to protect them from outsiders. After getting the material, Naruto was set. He had dived into the world of both sealing and Kenjutsu, and thanks to the shadow clones had become a level 3 Kenjutsu master and a level 10 seals master, which was the final level in seals. He still had 2 levels to complete before he was recognized as a Kenjutsu master by Uzumaki standard, but otherwise he could give most jonins more than a run for their money. I and the council were glad to have a seals master with them. The seals that Naruto had created were ingenious and strengthened nearly every part of the village. In the end it was decided that Naruto would reform the Uzumaki clan when he became older, to which he happily agreed. Overall, Naruto after his 6 years was a solid low jonin level shinobi. Yugito over the last 6 years had slouched. She had trained very hard and had mastered her Biju completely. She had also become very proficient in Kenjutsu and Taijutsu thanks to Killer Bee teaching her. She had also gained a fair number of fire and water jutsu in her arsenal. She in her 2-tailed state was at low jonin level but couldn't beat Naruto because of his expertise in seals. Over the years the village had accepted Yugito after their resident seal master had explained them of how her seal worked. Needless to say, most of the people and shinobi were ashamed of themselves for not seeing the difference between a kunai and a scroll. They apologized profusely, to which Yugito simply stated that everything was water under the bridge and that she hated no one. Currently Naruto was thinking about who would be placed in his genin team. He was really hoping he would have Yugito on his team. She was strong and someone who Naruto had come to love. He had tried to rip the information of his surrogate uncle and mother, but both of them didn't budge, making the young blonde Uzumaki grumble in annoyance. Sighing, Naruto shushed and appeared in his home, where he found Yugito waiting for him. As soon as he appeared she said, "Where were you?" "I was getting worried." "Oh, just on the Raikage monument. I was looking back on the years. You know, training and stuff. And I realized one very important thing," Naruto said with a smile. "Oh, and what was that?" Yugito curiously asked. Naruto answered by snaking his hands around her waist and pulling her closer before giving her a soft kiss. He then said that I made the best decision of my life when I decided to come here with Darui instead of having them return me to Konoha. The last 6 years have been the best freaking years of my life. I wouldn't exchange it for anything in the world. Yugito smiled and kissed him before saying, "I am glad you think that way. Now let's go and watch a movie before sleeping. We have team assignments tomorrow." Naruto just smiled and nodded as he let her decide the movie to watch. Meanwhile in Konoha, the village had continued to function in a normal way with no outward feeling of tension. However, one family was a direct target of the tension. The Namikaze family had been hit very hard after they realized the depth of their actions towards Naruto. Minato had sent team after team to search for his son but to no avail. Eventually, after a year, he had stopped sending the teams because of the council, and only held on to a hope that one day his son would return to their family. Yui had upped her training even more. She felt responsible for what happened to her brother, and had made it her life goal to one day find him and bring him back to the village and set things right with him. Jiraiya and Tsunade had been hit hard by Naruto's leaving. The look of pure and unadulterated anger and disappointment on the look of their father figure made them ashamed of themselves. Tsunade left the village as she felt she had betrayed the will of fire and stated she wouldn't return until news on Naruto was found. Jiraiya had devoted himself and his spy network to try and find Naruto, but he had no success. Wherever Naruto was or whoever he was with was damn good at staying off the grid. Kushina was hit the hardest. She didn't know of how she treated Naruto until Hiruzen's outburst. It made her realize how she wronged her blood. Uzumakis were known to be loyal to their family, but she had spit on that belief after how she acted toward her son. For the first few months she had locked herself in her son's room wallowing in self-pity. The only reason she came out was because her best friend Mikoto convinced her that the best thing right now was to be strong for Yui, and hope Naruto was found. However, even after 6 years there was no sign of him, and slowly her hope was turning into despair. Hiruzen was the only one who was relaxed. He had a gut feeling that Naruto was alive and was glad that he was out of the village. Over the years the locals had understood the boy's reasoning and berated themselves for being so stupid blunt. But nothing could be changed. Yui, after her training, had managed to learn most of her dad's jutsus, including the Rasengan. She had also mastered his hummingbird taijutsu. She had inherited her mother's chakra chains and was efficient in their use. She had managed to reach up to a one-tailed state in Kyuubi's chakra. She was at mid to high Chunin level. However, one thing was certain: none of them would see the Great Maelstrom was on course to hit them head-on in the very near future. Alright people, settle down, let's start with our teaming. Now Team 1 will be. Team 8 will be Samui Omo, your sensei will be Karabi Yatsuki. Team 9 will consist of Naruto Uzumaki, and I Yugito, and Atsu your sensei will be Darui. That's all. I want you to know that I am very proud of all of you. It's your time now, go and make Kumo proud. The head teacher finished as the students grinned and started waiting for their senseis to arrive. Naruto grinned. He was happy to be in the same team as his girlfriend and one of his best friends. Atsui was Samui's brother and was a polar opposite. Where she was always calm and collected, Atsui in kind words could only be described as an active volcano-headed person. But that was what Naruto liked about him. Naruto was a balanced person. He could be both hot-headed and cool. In his opinion, his team was perfect. Yugito was a calm person who only got angry when other girls threw themselves at him. Not the girls who genuinely felt something for him, but fangirls. Naruto the balanced type, he could perform in nearly every situation, and Atsui the one made for a head-to-head collision. He then moved to sit next to Yugito, who immediately placed her head on his shoulders as the class sighed in dismay. Most of the girls because in their opinion Naruto was the best guy in their age group. While most of the guys because Yugito was among the most beautiful girls in their generation. It was a match of heaven and their fans could only watch on sadly. One by one sensei came and collected their teams until only Team 9 was left. Naruto knew there would be no peace and quiet if Atsui was awake. Subtly cast a genjutsu on him that made him go to sleep. As they waited, Naruto and Yugito basked in each other's warmth and comfort, ultimately leading for the poor girl to fall asleep. Naruto smiled before he let Yugito get more comfortable as he wrapped an arm around her, bringing her closer. This was the scene that Darui walked in on when he entered the room an hour later and looked down blankly. Naruto looked at him and started using his fingers to make a few signs. Hi sensei. Looks like you are finally here, but everyone's asleep. It's too dull. I am not in a mood to wake you guys up. So does that mean we passed the secondary test? How do you know about that? I am the Raikage student. It's obvious I know more than just a normal academy graduate. Then it's dull and defeats the purpose. You guys should head home. Tell your teammates to meet me in training ground 10 tomorrow at 7. With that, Darui left, leaving his genin in the class. Naruto then quickly wrote what his sensei said and made a clone. He used it to keep the note in front of Atsui. Naruto then picked Yugito up in a bridal carry before disappearing in a shushin while dispelling his genjutsu. Atsui woke up with a start before reading Naruto's letter and running of home, all the while shouting that he would have his revenge. The next morning, Team 9 were waiting in their training ground by having a three-way spar. Crystal released angelic mirrors of heaven. Naruto shouted as he created a dome made of crystal that surrounded both Atsui and Yugito. Put any ideas, Yugito? Atsui asked. Not in the slightest. This is one of move of his I can't break. Yugito replied worriedly. See Serpent Barrage. Naruto shouted as several Narutos flew out of the mirrors and hit the trapped genin, making them lose. Naruto then cancelled the jutsu and looked at the other two with a smirk on his face. So you lost again, Naruto said in a smug tone. It's that stupid jutsu of yours, it's impossible to break. Hut! Atsui yelled out. Yugito just sighed before she stood up and went to Naruto before kissing him and saying, "Damn, why can't I beat you?" Because I am awesome, Naruto said with a smile as he rubbed his forehead with hers. It was then that Darui appeared and said, "I see you have been sparing. Very good, let's go get our missions from the Raikage before I give you all personalized training." The three genin nodded and made their way to the Raikage office. After a quick greeting from Mabui and her fussing a little over, Naruto Team 9 entered the room. I looked up and smiled before saying, "Good morning, Team 9, are you here for a mission?" "Yes, we are, boss," Darui answered. "Well, there are several D-rank missions here, which one do you want?" I asked as he skimmed through missions. "Oh, pish posh, give us all the D-ranks you have, we will have them done by 7 p.m. Naruto confidently claimed. "You seem confident, fine, then let's see if you can back that up. Here are 100 D-ranks," I said as he handed Darui a scroll that had the missions. Darui wordlessly nodded and let the trio out. When they left the office, Atsui shouted and said, "Why did you do that? Now there will be no personalized training." Naruto grinned at the question before snatching the scroll from Darui's hands. He then made a cross sign and created 400 Kage Bunshins. Then he hinged them to make exactly 100 Team 9s. Naruto threw the scroll at one hinged Darui and said, "Perform all these missions by 7 p.m. Get to it." His clones nodded before they ran off, leaving a dumbfounded Team 9 behind. Darui then rubbed his temples before saying, "When I think you are done, you go and do something even more amazing. I thought your limit was 200, how did the other 100 come?" "A chakra storage seal I had Nissan fill it up for me. I just used that chakra to supply me the 300 clones. Now they can work, and we can train all day," Naruto said gleefully. Yugito face-palmed and said, "Why didn't I think of that? It was so simple." "Hot! You are a genius, Naruto," Atsui shouted. Darui then led his team back to the training ground before creating 2 lightning clones and sending Yugito and Atsui with them before he himself focused on Naruto. With Yugito, *. Alright Yugito, we know of your proficiency in Katon Jutsu, Taijutsu and using your Biju. I think it is high time we learned of your secondary affinity," Darui said as handed Yugito a chakra paper and asked her to channel her chakra into it. Nodding, Yugito channeled her chakra into the paper, causing it to wrinkle. Nodding, Darui said, "Well, your secondary affinity is lightning. I want you to take a leaf and try wrinkling it with your chakra. We will first do 2 manipulation exercises before moving on to jutsus. Now begin." Yugito excitedly took a leaf and started her training as she looked forward to master another element. With Atsui, *. Well, Atsui despite having 2 different elements, you don't really have all that many jutsus. So here is a list of 10 Katon Jutsu and 10 Suiton Jutsu. Start practicing them, and if you need any help let me know, Darui said as Atsui nodded before he started working. With Naruto, *. Okay, my young protege, what do you want to work on? Asked Darui. Well, sensei, I have just completed my new original jutsu and wanted to ask for your opinion on it, Naruto said with a grin. Show me, Darui said with a slight interest. Naruto first looked at the sky before going through hand signs and saying ninja art hidden cloud creation. As soon as he finished, the area he was on had clouds in its opposite part in the sky. Naruto then began controlling his lightning chakra and soon the white clouds began to darken. Darui widened his eyes and he immediately created a barrier around the field. Naruto then made a ram sign and shouted right on Kirin. A gigantic lightning dragon left the sky before it came crashing into the ground, almost completely destroying that part of the training field. The force of the explosion was enough to send Darui flying. After everything settled down, Darui got up and walked over to the grinning blonde idiot and smacked him on the head. What the hell were you thinking when you used an S-rank jutsu, and why are you not even slightly winded? Well, you see, I didn't think that it would be an S-rank jutsu. And 2, since it's pure manipulation and uses natural lightning, the one created by the clouds. Because of that it uses very little chakra. Naruto explained the jutsu to his sensei, who was staring at him dumbfoundedly. He knew Naruto was a prodigy, but the thought process required to create a move and then the skill required to pull it off were absurdly high. If only Konoha knew what they missed out on. He is already low Jonin level. I can see why Boss has set his sights on him as his successor as the Raikage. Heck, he even knows the right and no Yoroi. Darui thought before he looked at a sheepish Naruto. Well done, Naruto, that move was amazing. We will add it to the jutsu inventory today under your name. Also, for the rest of the day, I want you to practice your Black Lightning and learn this new jutsu. Darui congratulated Naruto before he handed Naruto a scroll that read Lightning Release Black Panther Jutsu. Nodding, Naruto created 100 clones and said, "Alright boys, 20 on chakra control, 20 on Fuinjutsu, 20 on Kenjutsu start the 4th season, 20 on Taijutsu start with the intermediate defensive katas. And finally 20 on this new jutsu. And before you ask, I am going to go running around the village. Sensei, can you keep an eye on them?" Darui sighed and nodded. This training method was only applicable to him because of his Uzumaki healing and reserves. And he took full advantage of that fact. Naruto then proceeded to increase his resistance seals from level 4 to level 5. He immediately felt himself fall to the ground. He considered reverting back to level 4 but pushed the thought out of his mind. He needed to be strong not only for himself but also for Yugito and Kumo. Also, he was the to-be Godoime Raikage, he couldn't let something like a little resistance affect him. He pushed himself up and started running. From afar, Darui watched with a look of admiration. He knew his student would one day be one of the strongest shinobi in the entire world. Time skip several hours later at 7 p.m. Asterisk. Alright IGG, here are the reports for the 100D ranks. All done. Now can we get a C rank mission soon? Naruto asked. I'm sure you will get 3 C ranks. 1 document delivery to the daimyo, 1 mission to take out bandits at Raiden village. And finally there is a mission by a bridge builder for an escort. From the request it seems that he has hired a team from Konoha as well. So Naruto, will you take it? I asked, wanting to know whether his surrogate nephew would be willing to face his old village. Naruto in response frowned a bit before he smiled brightly and said, "Don't worry, Gigi. The only person I even remotely miss from that village is the Sandaime. For me, Kumo is my home and Udarui-sensei, B. Nissen his team, Kaken, Yugito and Atsu my family. Don't worry, I won't go back." I smiled at the boy before signaling for the team to leave. As they left the office, Darui turned to his team and said, "Tomorrow at 10 a.m. West Gate. We will first perform the bandit extermination, then deliver the document before meeting up with the Wave client. Remember to pack for at least 1 month and a half." The genin nodded before they all left towards their home. The next morning, Team 9 had gathered on the West Gate and had now left the village to make a week-long journey to terminate the bandits that had laid siege on Raiden village. It was a week's run and the team finally arrived. "View from the trees," Darui said. "So far we have little information on the condition of the village. It would be best if we send a recon team first. Naruto, use your shadow clones." Nodding, Naruto created 3 shadow clones and had them henge into small animals before sending them into the small village. It was around 20 minutes later that the clones had dispelled themselves and Naruto had gained their memories. Looking at his team, he said, "Female hostages in those tents over there. Most of the bandits are sleeping, although their leader is one of the former 7 swordsmen of the mist, Raiga. Well, that complicates a lot of things. Yugito, you and Atsu go rescue the hostages. Naruto, you go and terminate the sleeping bandits. I will go and confront Raiga," Darui said in an uncharacteristically serious voice. The 3 genin nodded and left in different directions. With Yugito, Atsui and Naruto, asterisk. Both of them didn't face any opposition and quickly released the hostages. Yugito then used her Biju's chakra to use a mega shushin that teleported all the hostages to the outskirts. She stayed there so as to protect the hostages in case anyone else attacked. Atsui, on the other hand, ran over to assist Naruto since there were at least 50 bandits. Naruto was a specialist in silent killing and had the mist's strongest assassination technique. Ninja art hidden mist jutsu. A mist covered the sleeping bandits. Naruto then created 50 clones and had them go and kill all of the bandits at once. He did feel sick but managed to push back the repulsive feelings. He was not going to put the mission at risk because he hasn't able to handle a kill. Soon he and the others met up and waited for Darui to arrive. It was almost an hour later that their sensei arrived. He looked at the 3 genin and noticed a slightly hollow look in Naruto's eyes. He sighed and said, "Raiga has been killed. I have collected his swords and head. Naruto, please walk with me." He led Naruto to a clearing and said, "Let it out. You didn't do anything wrong. Had they lived, they would harmed and killed many more people. You protected a lot more people. Be proud of yourself." "Does it get any better?" asked Naruto. "Being honest, you never forget the first kill. What you should do is to enjoy killing. Don't kill unless necessary, and you will be fine," Darui said as he ruffled Naruto's head. The team they proceeded to head to the daimyo estate at the lightning capital. It was a project that needed to be approved of by the daimyo. On the way to the capital, they were surprised to see the daimyo's carriage. They had talked to the Gordians, and it was decided that the groups would travel together. They reached the capital in 2 days, and it took 2 days for the paperwork to be completed. After which Naruto used his summons to deliver the paper to the Raikage as the team then left to go and complete their final mission, which was a bodyguard mission before returning home. So Sensei, does the wave have any ninjas? Yugito asked as Team 9 jumped towards the location mentioned by their client. No, they don't. The Water Daimyo has been ignorant and hasn't been funding anyone apart from the Mist, and that to support the bloodline purge. Darui answered. I also heard that Gato took over the wave. And from the last reports it seems that the living conditions have deteriorated greatly. Darui continued after a moment of thought. The genin solemnly nodded before they continued their run. Soon they crossed the border for the wave country, and after an hour of running into the country they came across a mist. Naruto being the censor, he has immediately felt chakra in the mist, and made a sign to his sensei, who told him to blow it away. Nodding, Naruto quickly went through hand signs before shouting wind-style great breakthrough. A large torrent of wind escaped his mouth and cleared the mist away. After which the Kumo team jumped into the battle. They saw Kakashi of the Sharingan and Konoha's Red Death take on 2 former swordsmen of the mist. Zabuza Momochi, the demon of the mist, and Mangetsu Hozuki, the leader of the 7. What are Kumo Nin doing here? Mangetsu asked. I am Darui of the Black Lightning, and we were given a mission request by the bridge builder Tazuna. Since Konoha Nin are here, we will be assisting them in this mission. Darui lazily explained as the team from Konoha narrowed their eyes at Tazuna. Shit, we are now outnumbered by people as strong as us. I think it would be best if we withdraw for now, Zabuza said as Mangetsu nodded before they both disappeared in swirls of water. As Naruto turned his head, he immediately cursed as in front of him were his former family. Kushina, Yui and Kakashi all looked at him with wide eyes as he stared back blankly. It was a tense silence, after which was broken by Kushina, who said Naruto. Naruto, Kushina stuttered out. And I-chan? Yui asked. Naruto stared at the blankly as he inwardly felt his rage surfacing. However, before it could burst, he remembered all the time he had lived through at Kumo before he relaxed. Looking at his former family members, he waved his hand and said yo. Kushina let out a sigh of relief. She half expected Naruto to shout in anger. However, before she could move, she needed to know why he was wearing a Kumo headband. Sochi, why do you have a Kumo headband on? Kushina asked as she brought the rest of her team back out of their stupor, making all of them wonder why the son of the Hokage was a Kumo shinobi. Isn't it obvious? I am a ninja under Kumogakure's jurisdiction. Also, don't call me Sochi, I am not your child, Kushina Dano. Naruto boredly answered. How can you say that I gave birth to you? She frantically replied. However, before anyone could reply, Darui stepped forward and said, I suggest you back off. He is not only my student but also the apprentice of the Raikage. I wouldn't try anything if I were you. This got shocked looks from the Konoha Nin. Apart from Kakashi, Kushina, and Yui, there were 3 others. Namely Sasuke Uchiha, his 2-year junior sister Sayuri Uchiha, and a pink-head Sakura Haruno. All had different thoughts. Sensei will flip when he hears this, Kakashi thought. I can't believe that I pushed him far enough that he joined Kumo of all places, Yui thought. Apprentice of a Kageha? I will beat him and take all his techniques, Sasuke thought. He is kinda cute with those whisker marks and blue eyes, Sayuri thought with a small blush. Sasuke-kun is so cool, Sakura thought. Alright, I think it is best if we return to the client's house so that we can work out a standard operating procedure during the mission. Since all of us want nothing to do with each other, it should work out fine, Naruto said in a matter-of-fact tone, causing both Yui and Kushina to look at him sadly but nod nonetheless. Both the teams made their way towards Tazuna's home, with the Kumo team having surrounded Naruto so as to stop any attempts that the Kumo team may want to make to capture him. Darui cursed himself for not getting Naruto a mask. He somehow knew that the next few months will be very hectic. Soon they arrived at Tazuna's house, where they were greeted by a beautiful brunette woman. Father, I am so glad you made it. Are you alright? She asked as she spotted Tazuna. Yeah, these awesome ninjas from Konoha and Kumo rescued me. Tazuna entered the home with the ninjas following. The Kumo team sat down in a corner behind their sensei, with Konoha taking the opposite seat. As soon as they sat down, Naruto unsealed a few card games and began to play them with his genin teammates, leaving all the diplomatic matters to their sensei. Darui sighed at his student's laid-back attitude before his gaze hardened, and he turned to the Konoha team and said, So how do you suggest we do the guarding? I believe that one of us will guard Tazuna during the day while the others train the genin to face for the upcoming attack. Kakashi spoke, with the other jonin nodding. The room was then silent except the usual game-playing sounds from the Kumo genin. The silence was broken when Yui looked at Naruto and said, "Anai-san, will you come back home after this mission?" "Of course I will be returning to my home at Kumo after this mission is over. We have been out of it for way too long now," Naruto casually replied as he won yet another game versus his teammates. "But that place isn't your home. Your home is with us at Konoha. What did they do that you actually joined them?" Kushina asked as she shouted. "Home is not where you are born, Kushina Dano. It is a place where you are loved, and being honest, I don't remember Konoha giving me even a speck of love. Now I won't be discussing this topic anymore. I have moved on," Naruto said with a tone of finality as he stood up and went to the roof. Kushina and Yui tried to follow but were stopped by Darui, who said, "Do you really wish to go on war with Kumo? Naruto is a very important figure at Kumo. He holds one of our summoning contracts, and is our seal's master. Trying anything will lead to war." Both Yui and Kushina looked down dejectedly. They did not see a way in which they could get Naruto back without risking an all-out war with the only hidden village that had the same strength as them. Unbeknownst to all of them, Sayuri had slipped past the door and had followed Naruto to the roof. The young Uchiha had found him laying on the roof. He was staring at the moon and had a serene expression on his face. Sayuri immediately saw through it as a mask. She recognized it as she herself often a mask on to save her the unnecessary trouble in the village. However, before she could say anything, Naruto spoke up and said, "What are you doing here, Kunoichi-san? I was here to see why you rejected a chance to get back with your family. I lost mine and would give anything to have them back. So tell me, why do you reject them?" Sayuri said in a sad yet angry voice. "Simple, because they abandoned and neglected me. I have no reason to come back to them when all my loved ones are at Kumo. Also, I am sorry about your clan," Naruto said without looking at her. Sayuri didn't say anything but nodded nonetheless before leaving. Soon Naruto felt two arms snake around him. He did not turn as he knew exactly who it was. He then in one swift motion brought the girl behind him in front him, and warped his arms around her. "How do you always know it's me?" Yugito asked with a pout. "Simple, my heart beats a little faster every time you get close to me," Naruto answered with a smile before he kissed Yugito, who accepted the kiss gratefully before returning it completely. They stayed in the position for a few minutes before heading back into the house. The next morning, the 7 genin were standing with Kushina and Kakashi. Darui was the one who was guarding Tazuna today. "Alright, so we will be climbing trees without hands." "How will we do that, sensei?" Yui asked. Naruto then said he means it like this. He then moved and casually walked the tree as if it was nothing, causing the rest of the genins to widen their eyes. Looking at their reactions, Naruto sighed and said, "It's just a chakra control exercise. Channel it on your feet and walk up the tree. Too less and you slip of. Too much you break the tree bark." "That's right. Though I am surprised that they taught you this move as a genin," Kakashi said. "Oh, I am genin only by rank. Strength and skill-wise I'd say I am around low jonin level," Naruto casually said. Everyone's eyes widened, with all of them except the Kumo pair having thoughts on the blonde. "Sochi, how much did you work these past years?" Kushina thought as she felt tears well up in her eyes. "Anai-san is that strong?" Yui thought. "PFT, so what if he is low jonin? I will be easily able to defeat him," Sasuke thought. "Nissan is so going to challenge him," Sayuri thought. "Fight me," Sasuke said as he pointed at Naruto. Naruto looked at him blankly before jumping down and releasing his seals. He then used his mid-jonin level pace to catch Sasuke off guard and pin him on the ground with a kunai on his throat. "I win," Naruto said as he released Sasuke and walked off. Sasuke, however, did not take kindly to the humiliation and went through hand signs before shouting fire style, fireball jutsu. Naruto, on the other hand, went through his own seals before shouting earth style mud wall jutsu. A wall of earth emerged from the ground and stopped the fireball. Naruto then coldly looked over to Kakashi and Kushina before saying, "I suggest you two keep your genin on a leash." What he did right now was nothing short of an act of war. Kakashi didn't react and disappeared in a burst of speed before he reappeared behind Sasuke and knocked him out cold. Kushina was about to say something, but Naruto beat her to it and said, "And you want me to come back to Konoha? Nothing has changed there, it will still the scum it has been. Will of fire? Shodame and Nidame will be rolling in their graves if they knew what the village had become." He then turned around before walking off deep into the forest, leaving a crying Kushina, a teary Yui, a regretful Kakashi, and a screaming Sakura. Time skip dinner, asterisk. All of the nin were sitting and having dinner that had been made by Tsunami. All was fine and small talk was going strongly. 3 of 4 females in the Konoha team were subtly eyeing Naruto. 2 with sadness and 1 with curiosity. Suddenly Inari, the grandson of Tazuna, stood up and shouted, "Why do you train? In the end you will be killed by Gato." "Hey, as if some untrained midget can defeat a ninja," Yui hotly answered. "What do you know about suffering? You must live a pampered life," Inari shouted back. "Why, you little," Yui said, and was about to pounce when Naruto spoke and in an older brotherly scolding voice said, Now Yui, that's no way for a lady to act." The said girl blushed in embarrassment before nodding meekly. "As for you, Inari, there are always people may have suffered more than you. For example, look at this," Naruto said before he removed his shirt and revealed a large number of scars. Everyone's eyes widened at them. Even Yugito, she had never seen these and made a mental note to confront Naruto later on. "I got most of these scars when I hurt myself as a kid. My parents completely ignored me, which was why they never healed properly. On my 6th birthday, the rest of the villagers kidnapped me before knocking me out and throwing me into a raging river. I got my other scars from there. I would have surely died had it not been for my sensei here. He found me near the coast of the river, an inch away from death, and took me with him. I have grown there training as hard as I can so that I can protect me and my loved ones in the future." Naruto calmly spoke as he regaled his tale to the youngster in front of him. The Konoha nin swallowed hard. They knew about some things that happened to Naruto but didn't expect them to be so severe. Yui, Kushina, Tsunami, Sayuri and Yugito were all crying. Darui and Kakashi both had blank looks on their faces, whereas Atsui had an uncharacteristically solemn look on his face. Inari felt his emotions bubbling as he shakily said, "TTT, then what should I do?" Naruto patted the boy's head and said, "Move on, kid. Life is full of opportunities. Take advantage of that, and do something about it. It will be a slow step, but results will be assured if you keep at it." Naruto then stood up before leaving, saying, "I am going to mediate this conversation, brought out some bad memories." Darui nodded in acceptance. The others tried to follow him but were stopped by Darui, who said that he needed time for himself. After a while, Sayuri went out and went to find Naruto in order to find out about a thought that was plaguing her mind. After a few moments, she found him meditating in the middle of a clearing in the forest. Before she could speak, Naruto said, "Akunoichi-san, how can I help you again? You seem to like following me whenever I leave a room. Why is that?" Sayuri flushed before sputtering refusals at his assessment. After she calmed down, she asked, "Why do you not want revenge on the people who hurt you? Me and brother both have made it our life goal to hunt the one who killed our families. But you aren't even showing an ounce of hate towards those people. Why?" "Oh, I hate them, alright. I just know that they aren't even worth my time. I will just be wasting my time on them. And revenge is a dangerous road. Even if you kill the perpetrator, the cycle won't end and you will end up dead at the hands of someone who wants to take revenge for the perpetrator," Naruto sagely answered. "But he was our older brother who killed our whole clan. How can you expect us to forgive him?" Sayuri yelled. "Tell me, who did you trust in your clan the most before the incident?" asked Naruto. "My brother Itachi," Sayuri whispered. "Who did you love the most?" asked Naruto. "Itachi," she replied. "Now tell me, who did he not kill on that day?" Naruto continued. "Me and brother Sasuke," she replied, this time a little longer. "From what you said, the three of you had a near unbreakable bond. And he didn't kill the two of you. But what I think is that he just couldn't bring himself to kill you," Naruto stated. "That's a lie. He told us to hate him and get his power and then come fight him," she yelled in frustration. "To me that sounded like he wanted you to kill him so that you'd be seen as heroes who took out an undeniably strong rogue nin. By the looks of that, he was willing to sacrifice himself to ensure you both had better futures." Naruto once again spoke in the same calm tone. Now Sayuri was confused. How was this stranger who didn't know her or her family be able to define Itachi so well? Along with the fact the way he talked about Itachi made it seem like he knew Itachi for years. "How do you know Itachi?" she asked him through gritted teeth. "I don't. I just based my questions and answers over what you told me about him. Now I suggest you return. I am sure you have a lot to think about on," Naruto said with a dismissive wave of the hand. As soon as she left, Naruto returned to mediate before he said, "Why don't you come out, Kakashi Dano? I wanted to see what my student wanted from you. And wanted to thank you. You may have stopped her from going down a path of destruction," Kakashi lazily answered as he stepped into the clearing. "I see you are welcome," Naruto answered. It was after a few minutes that Kakashi spoke up and said, "Naruto, I am sorry. I was one of the ANBUs who were tasked to look after you. I shouldn't have let you out of my sight on that day." "Think nothing of it. It happened in the past, and thinking back, I wouldn't change anything. I found my real home thanks to that," Naruto replied in an emotionless tone. Kakashi flinched at that before he said, Naruto, please come back. Sensei misses you. The village has changed. I am sorry, Kakashi Dano, but I have no intention to betray my family back at my home in Kumo. Also, you seem to forget I don't fall under the Hokage anymore. I am a Kumo shinobi under the Raikage jurisdiction. So until he doesn't send me to Konoha, I won't return. Naruto answered with a tone of finality. Kakashi sighed and had started leaving before Naruto said, though if it helps, you should know I looked up to you and still do as an older brother. You technically were among the 2 or 3 people who actually spent time with me. Kakashi gave him a genuine smile before hugging Naruto, which he returned wholeheartedly. Kakashi then ruffled Naruto's head and asked, Naruto, I want to ask you, are you happy at Kumo? Do they force you to do anything you don't want to? I am very happy there, Kaka and I. I am treated very well and with respect. More than that, I have found both the love of a parent and the love of my life over there. And no, they didn't force me into doing anything. Naruto happily answered. Very well then. I won't force you into coming back. As long as you are happy, I am okay with it, Kakashi said as he left the clearing. Naruto sighed before he opened his eyes. However, they didn't have the usual warm look in them. He had felt the chakras of the citizens of the Wave Village. Now he was going to exact revenge. He got up before he disappeared in a burst of pace towards north. After 40 minutes of running, he reached a mansion that had a large number of civilian-level chakra signatures. Some 50 meters from the mansion was a warehouse that had 2 Jonin-level signatures and 2 Chunin-level ones. Seems like that is the place where Zabuza and his team are staying. Better get this over with completely, Naruto thought. Naruto then quickly went through the required hand signs before saying, summoning jutsu shadow serpents. In a poof, several large shadow serpents appeared. The one in the front looked at Naruto and asked, Naruto-sama, why have you summoned us? Pretty simple, Jin. I want you to go into that mansion and kill everyone in. They are bandits who steal from others. And kidnap women before raping them. Naruto explained to Jin, whose face went from confusion to rage. Nodding, he looked at his comrades before all of them disappeared into the ground. Naruto then flashed a couple of silencing seals and a few basic barrier seals that stopped the noise bandits would make and would stop them from escaping. It was some 15 minutes later that the serpents returned. After which Naruto released the seals. The serpents had bought in Gato's head and a couple of documents. The documents contained the payment for Zabuza's crew. Naruto sealed Gato's head before he moved to the warehouse and threw a kunai with the payment. After that, he patiently waited outside. It was only a few moments later that both Zabuza and Mangetsu appeared and spotted him. It was then that Zabuza spoke and said, what does this mean, Gaki? I have killed Gato and all his minions inside that mansion. I found the money he owed you guys and gave it you as a sign of good faith. And I wanted to ask, will you leave instead of attacking the bridge builder like you intended to? Naruto asked. Yes, sure, we have gotten what we wanted. We will be leaving then. Mangetsu answered as he picked up his sword and signaled to the other 3, who nodded, and the group of 4 then left. Naruto then sighed before he activated his lightning armor and raced back towards Tazuna's home. As soon as it came within sight, Naruto deactivated his jutsu before calmly entering the room where everyone was sitting. Naruto then spoke and said, Gato is dead and our enemies have left after they had gotten what they wanted. How do you know that, Naruto? Darui asked. I had my summons take care of Gato and his cronies before giving the Mist Nin the money they were owed. After receiving what they needed, they left. We should have no problem with the bridge, Naruto answered as he sat back down and threw his sensei a storage scroll which turned out to have Gato's head inside it. Everyone was surprised Naruto had single-handedly taken care of the whole mission. Just then Tazuna came up to Naruto and said, thank you so much. Is there anything this country can do to make it up to you? You could set up a trade agreement with us when the bridge is complete and the wave is back standing on its feet, Naruto said with a smile. Tazuna smiled before nodding. Since he was kind of a leader figure, he decided to set up trade agreements with both Konoha and Kumo. Both helped in the liberation in one way or another. Darui smiled at his student's maturity. He had not only become a hero for the people but had also managed to secure a very strategic trading position for the village. He would definitely be a good Kage in the future. Kushina could only smile sadly. She couldn't help but feel proud of the ninja he had grown up to be. She only hoped that Kumo would be willing to negotiate a deal with Konoha that would allow them to come and occasionally speak with Naruto, or sometimes go and perform missions with him. Sasuke was seething in anger. Someone clanless unknown had scooped up and taken all the credit that he and Uchiha should have. He vowed that he would one day beat the blonde in front of him. It was after all known that Uchiha Sasuke was not one to forget humiliation of any kind. Sayuri was still mentally confused since her talk with Naruto earlier. She did not know what to think. She had joined the academy early just so that she could had her revenge earlier. But Naruto's word made her question her very purpose and made her think if Itachi really did just kill for power. Yui was internally berating herself and her parents. It was clear that he was not a prankster, just a kid who wanted attention when he was younger. Looking at the power and confidence he radiated, she couldn't help but figure out one thing. Her brother was a prodigy in a true sense of the word. He was already performing Jonin-level missions on his own. She may be strong in her own right, but she knew currently he was in a league of his. Everyone nodded before going to sleep. The next day the genin were given time off since nearly all the threats in the mission had been neutralized. Atsui was swimming in the river. Sasuke was training in the forest. Sakura was watching him while Yui and Sayuri were following Naruto into the Wave Village. While Yugito was sleeping. Naruto's heart broke as he saw the condition the village was in. Kids on the streets with ragged clothing. It was too much for him to handle. He was about to turn and leave when he felt a tug on his pants. Looking down, he saw a girl barely around 3 years of age looking up at him with hope in her eyes. Naruto crouched down and said, "Hello little one, how can I help you? Can you give me some money? I haven't eaten anything in a week," the girl said. "How about I take you out to eat?" Naruto said as the girl nodded. He then went to the best-looking restaurant in the area and fed the girl with his own 2 hands. After they were finished, Naruto set the girl on his lap and said, "Now sweetie, where are your parents? And what is your name?" "My name is Irina. My parents left me 3 months ago and didn't come back. They said I was a burden." "Are you going to leave me as well?" Irina asked as she started tearing up. No, Eri-chan. I will never abandon you. How about you come back with me to my village? I will take care of you." "How does that sound?" Naruto asked with a smile. Irina teared up and hugged Naruto tightly. Naruto then got up and said, "Let's go, Eri-chan, we need to get back to my team." "Hi too-san," Irina replied as she hugged Naruto. As they walked, Naruto noticed that Irina was looking at a necklace in a nearby store. He set her down and said, "Eri-chan, close your eyes and wait for a couple of seconds, I will be right back." Naruto soon came back and tied the necklace around Irina's neck before saying, "You can open your eyes, Eri-chan." She saw the necklace before gasping and looking at Naruto, who smiled and said, "I saw you looking at it and got it for you." "Too-san," Irina said as she launched herself at Naruto, who picked her up as he chuckled and kept her on his shoulders before leaving and returning. Yui and Sayuri, who were spying from afar, couldn't help gush at the adorable moment in front of them. Back at the house, Naruto explained the whole situation to his teammates. Yugito immediately accepted little Irina and agreed to become her mother-like figure, whereas Atsui took the role of an uncle. Darui sighed as the whole thing was troublesome and he would have to explain the whole thing to the Raikage. The next 2 weeks went by relatively normal. Kushina and Yui tried to talk to Naruto, but he wouldn't even give them a second of his time. Naruto's part in the mission was soon revealed to the locals and he was seen as hero. Because of that, he had developed a second fan club of his. Kakashi joked and said that in the end he may have a fan club in all of the elemental nations. Naruto shuddered at his older brother's remark and secretly prayed that it never came into being. After that, both teams returned to their respective villages. "Well, that mission went better than expected," Yugito said as they jumped from tree to tree. "You can say that again. I half expected them to do something foolish and attempt to capture me," Naruto said as he jumped with Irina on his back. "Definitely, though, I do believe that we will be facing some major headaches in the coming days. The Yandane won't rest until he finds out a way in which he will be able to get closer to you. Specifically after seeing the reaction of Kushina Dano," Darui said. "No, I don't really care what they do. My loyalty is and always will be with Kumo. Nothing is going to change that, and if Konoha want to fight, I will show them why not to mess with us," Naruto said in strong voice. Irina chose to wake up at this moment, and said, "Too-san, why do you hate Konoha so much?" "I will tell you when you are older, Eri-chan. Now you should return to sleeping. After all, it's still a few ways before we reach home," Naruto replied to her, which caused her to pout cutely but nonetheless nod before dozing off. With Konoha Group, *. The team from Konoha rushed back without a break and were back in Konoha by the end of the day. As soon as they arrived, Kushina sent the genin home before she and Kakashi both raced towards the Hokage Tower. Kushina didn't waste a moment and burst into Minato's office, where he was currently having a meeting with Jiraiya and Hiruzen relating to an organization called Akatsuki. Taking the group by surprise, Kushina began her incoherent shouting. Minato sighed before he got up and shook Kushina, calming her down before saying, "Now Kushina, what is wrong?" "We found Naruto. He was a Kumo genin from a team that assisted us in the mission," Kushina gasped out as all the remaining participants apart from Kakashi widened their eyes in shock. Minato sat back down before he started thinking of a few scenarios. The first idea he had was that Kumo must have used a loyalty seal on him, but his thoughts were cut off when Kakashi said, "Sensei, I know what you are thinking. Kumo has no seal on him, he is a level 10 master on his own, so I doubt a seal could be placed on him. He is there on his own will and is an important figure there. If what Darui of the Black Lightning said was true, he is the apprentice of Ayatsuki the Yondaime Raikage, and is among the favored candidates to become the Raikage when I steps down." Minato frowned as he bit his lip. Considering his status and skills, it was almost confirmed that Kumo won't give him up without a fight, and since both the villages were around equal in strength, it could may well lead to a great shinobi war. And he may have to fight against his son. On the other side of the room, Hiruzen gave a sigh of relief, at least his grandson was alive. And from what Kakashi had said, he seemed to be quite a strong shinobi for his age. Hiruzen let a proud smile make its way onto his face. He really hoped that Naruto would come to the village for the Chunin exams. God, he missed that bright ball of sunshine. Jiraiya frowned. He hadn't been able to invade the territory surrounding Kumo because of a very good barrier seal. If Naruto was indeed a seal master, he was at the very least at Jiraiya's level. This caused his frown to deepen. If Naruto wanted, he could easily beat someone like Yui, since the single double suppressing seal would be enough to decapitate her. All of them were brought out of their stupor when Kushina said, "So what are we going to do, Minato-kun?" Minato thought for a few moments before saying, "I think it's best to prepare for now. Sensei, I want you to bring both Orochimaru, yes he is good in the FIC, and Tsunade back. We need a good show of strength. After that I will send a letter asking for an alliance. I am afraid that it is the only way we may be able to see Naruto." Jiraiya nodded before jumping out the window. Hiruzen sat down before thinking and saying, "What are you planning, Hokage-sama?" "A political marriage. I will discuss it with the clans to see if any one of their girls is available. We will offer a marriage to Naruto. If it goes through, not only will we have a good treaty with Kumo, but will also tie Naruto close to us," Minato replied as silence ensued in the room. Hiruzen stood up and was about to leave when Minato stopped him and said, "What do you think, Sarutobi-sama?" "I think you are playing a very dangerous game here, Hokage Dano. You should think before taking hasty steps," Hiruzen answered before he left the room. Kushina then started tearing up a little and said he hates us. He called me Kushina Dano and didn't even acknowledge us. "It is our mistake, Kushi-chan. Though what we can do is keep at it until he forgives us," Minato answered as he hugged his wife. Kumo**. After a whole 2 days of traveling, Team 9 finally made it back to the village and then went to the Raikage office to report of their missions. As soon as they entered, I looked up and smiled before he became confused as he saw little Arina in Naruto's arms. Darui sighed before saying, "Missions accomplished, boss, document delivered, bandits terminated, and protecting the bridge builder also done." "That's good, Darui. Now who is that girl, and did anything happen with the Konoha team over there?" I curiously asked. "I found her on the streets at the Wave. It turns out her parents were just as big bastards as mine were. They abandoned her 1 month ago. I decided to adopt her and raise her as my own daughter," Naruto answered with a smile. "Very well, then I will get the paperwork ready for her adoption and the civilian status. Am I right to presume that you will be training her in the way of the ninja when she grows older?" asked I. "Yes, I intend to. However, not for another 3 or 4 years. I want her to first forget about those treacherous bastards and get a good amount of memories a baby should have before starting her training," Naruto answered as he looked at Arina with a loving smile. I smiled and teasingly said, "Well, that's good. Also, it gives both you and Yugito parenting practice." "JIJI/Raikage-sama." Both the teens shouted in exasperation. I chuckled in a good-natured way before he signaled the genin of Team 9 to leave while giving them a week of rest. "Alright then, Darui, anything to note with the Konoha team?" I asked. "I regret not making Naruto wear a mask. The Konoha team had Kushina Namikaze and Kakashi Hatake as their senseis. They immediately tried to talk to Naruto, but he used his cool side and played all of them down. The only thing we need to be careful of is the next few meetings that Konoha will be sending our way," Darui answered with a long sigh. "Indeed, and we will be ready. They can offer us anything they want, Bikugan. The Sharingan I won't accept going into a treaty with a village that harms kids," I answered. Silence ensued and neither man broke it, opting to think instead. It was another normal day at Kumo. Civilians were going on about their daily lives with ninjas coming in or leaving from /4 missions. Suddenly on the gate a figure with pure white hair was seen walking towards the gate. After arriving at the gate, the Chunin stopped the figure and asked, "Who are you and what is your purpose for visiting Kumogakure?" "Mangetsu Hozuki. Purpose of visiting is to meet with the Raikage," Mangetsu answered. "What do you want to talk about?" asked the Chunin. "I am sorry, that is something I can only tell the Raikage," Mangetsu answered. Very well, we will have a few A and B lead you to the office. However, remember any funny business, and we won't be responsible. The Chunin warned as he called the ANBU. That is agreeable, Mangetsu said as he followed the ANBU to the Raikage tower. After a few minutes of walking, Mangetsu was sitting in the Raikage office as he sat across I, who had an impassive face on. So what can I do for the second coming of the devil? Asked I. Yes, you see, most of the remaining 7 swords men of the mist have joined up with rebels in the bloodline purge. We would like to request help in the war, Mangetsu explained. That is all well and good, but what does Kumo get if it helps you in this war? I asked. We know that Kumo has a shortage of bloodlines. If and when we win the war, we will be willing to send over 3 different bloodlines over to you to start on. Along with that, we would also form an alliance with Kumo that would be cemented by a political marriage with any shinobi of your choosing, Mangetsu stated as I considered the offer before he nodded. Very well, Kumo will assist you. I will be sending 3 of our strongest jonin along with their genin teams, which are our strongest product in recent years, I said, to which Mangetsu nodded. I then called his secretary and said, Mabui, get me Team Darui, Team B and Team C. Mabui nodded before leaving the room and signaling the ANBU to get them. All 3 teams appeared in the room after 5 minutes. As soon as he entered, B said, what do you need us for, bro? The rebels of the mist have asked for our assistance in their civil war, and I have agreed to help them. I want you 3 along with your genin teams to assist in the war. Make sure you win it, I said with a smirk. Everyone nodded before Darui said, all right, people, start packing, we gather at the gate in 1 hour. The genin nodded before leaving. At his home, Naruto had informed Irina that he was leaving for a mission and expected her to behave and be good girl with Mabui until he came back. He promised her to bring her a few gifts. Irina, however, hugged him tightly and made him promise that he would come back alive. He promised that both he and Yugito would return and they would be a family again. An hour later, all 3 teams were ready and the whole group then left with Mangetsu leading them to the rebel forces headquarters. It was a day of traveling, after which they finally made it to the lightning water border and crossed it. The next morning, after an hour of running, they came across a denke mist in which Naruto got lost. Damn, where did everyone go? Naruto thought as he tried to feel the chakra signatures of the Kumo group, but to no avail. Suddenly he heard the voices of a battle taking place. Rushing towards the sound, he found 3 Miss Nin attacking a solitary kunoichi who was losing the fight. Naruto was surprised when he saw the girl use not 1 but 2 bloodlines. The Miss Nin, however, using their numerical advantage, were pushing her back. Just as a critical strike was about to hit her, Naruto activated his lightning armor, and in a flash was in front of the kunoichi. He unsealed his sword and in a single slash caused the attacking Nin to back away. Who are you and what are you doing in the mist territory? One of the Nin asked. Is saving my princess too much to ask? I will ask you to leave Miss Nin or I will kill you, Naruto warned as he threatening raised his sword. As if a kid like you can do something to us, one of the Nin sneered. They then tried to move but found themselves unable to. Looking at their feet, they found themselves to be held by shards of black crystal that were growing out of the water. Before they could react, Naruto was in front of them, and in a single swipe he cut the head of all 3 Miss Nin. Naruto then turned to the girl. Now close to her, he saw that she was around his age and had auburn-colored hair. She wore a green shirt and had her hair made into a ribbon. Naruto blushed a bit as he saw her. She was definitely among the prettiest girl he had ever seen. Who are you? The girl asked. Naruto Uzumaki from Kumo. Here on a mission to assist in the rebels in the civil war. I was separated from my group and ended up here. Now mind me asking, who are you? Naruto asked. The girl was no better as she too blushed when she saw Naruto's muscular frame replied. My name is Mai Terumi, the sister of the leader of the rebels. I was returning from a mission when I was ambushed. Thank you for saving me. You could thank me by leading me back to headquarters. My team will be worried, Naruto said as Mai nodded before motioning Naruto to follow her. As then ran, Mai couldn't help but think about a few things. One was, how was an Uzumaki blonde? From what she knew, they were all crimson redheads. 2. If he was an Uzumaki, what was he doing in Kumo? Last she knew was that Yuzuvio was destroyed by a combined effort from Kumo and IWA. 3. Why was he feeling so warm in his presence? He was the first person who hadn't made fun of her and actually blushed even if just a little by looking at her. So she decided to ask him. If you don't mind, can I ask you a few questions? Go right ahead, Haim, Naruto cheerfully replied. He was glad that he was required to go through the CRA. He could have girls without cheating on Yugito, as she would know of whoever was to be added. She had only allowed it after Naruto had informed the council that he would only marry if he loved the girl in question, and she loved him in change. Why are you blonde? I thought all Uzumakis were redheads. Mai asked. Oh, that's pretty simple. My dad was a blonde. I think I got his genes more than my mom's. Databale. Naruto answered before he face-palmed. He still hadn't been able to rid himself of his verbal tic. Oh, that makes sense. Also, what are you doing at Kumo? Aren't Konoha and Uzumakis the ones in an alliance? Mai asked. Oh, I was from Konoha, but for some reason one day I was beaten to a pulp and thrown into a river. My sensei from Kumo found me in a near-death state before he carried me back and I joined Kumo. Anything else? Naruto asked. No, that's all. Mai replied before they soon reached the gates of a large camp. At the gates the guards soon recognized Mai and asked Mai, where were you? Mai-sama has been worried. I am sorry, I was attacked by trash and nearly killed. Thankfully he was there to save me. Mai said as pointed at Naruto. Now excuse us, we need to go see Nei-san, Mai said. She then took his hand and pulled him along with her. Soon they reached the biggest tent where it seemed like a meeting was going on. Mai and Naruto entered and found that Mai was indeed in a meeting with the rest of the Kumo group. Hey Nei-san, Mai said as Mai smiled at her. Naruto on the other hand was glommed up by Yugito, who worriedly asked, where were you? You aren't hurt, right? Naruto chuckled before tapping her nose and saying, I am fine, just got a little strayed before I rescued Mai over there from 3 Miss Nin before she guided me here. I see, I would like to thank you for that, Naruto-san, Mai said. Oh, it's of no consequence, Mai-sama. I was merely doing what any honorable person would have done. But I need to ask, what will be our battle plan against the Mizukage? Asked Naruto. Why, yes. The current Mizukage had a total of 19 fortresses. After fighting the last couple of years we have managed to capture 9 of them. But recent security around them has tightened manyfold, which has made it impossible for us to capture more of them, which is why we called for your help. Mai explained. Naruto, what do you think we should do? Dari curiously asked. Everyone knew how big of a prodigy Naruto was and were curious to see what his genius would do to win the war. If my plan is successful, then we should have control over 7 or 8 more fortresses by the end of this month, Naruto said after he thought for a few minutes. Oh, I think you are underestimating us if you think we haven't tried anything, Mai said in an irritated voice. Naruto smirked and asked, do you have a seal master here? Mai shook her head, not knowing where it was going. Do you know of the jutsu called the shadow clones? Naruto asked, his smirk growing slyly. Again Mai shook her head and sighed. Well, that is what we are going to do. I am a seal master, and know the shadow clones. The plan is simple. My clone will infiltrate a fortress, plant explosive seals of my personal creation. This will disable the defense of the fortress, giving us a chance to attack and take over. It will take me a while to get the seals ready, but after they are done it should all be game, Naruto explained. The Jonin, both the rebels and Kumo's senseis, nodded in agreement. It was a very good plan. Mai then spoke up and asked, what happens if the Yagura appears? He has the Sanbai within him as well. Don't worry bro, if 3-0 comes out, I-8-0 will tear him down, yo. Be rapped as he moved his hands in a freaking manner. The Kumo Nin all sighed in exasperation, while the rebel Nin were all blinking. We are sorry, he is always like that, Dari said. After that all the genin left to roam the camp. Naruto went off on his own to try and train for a new move. He could proficiently use the lightning armor but felt that it was now time to send it up to the next level. Hey guys, I am gonna go off on my own. I will see you guys tonight, don't follow me, he said before jumping off. As he left, Yugito sighed and Atsui cursed. Seeing this, Mai asked, what's the matter? It's Naruto, he is about to do something extremely cool but foolishly dangerous, Samui answered in monotone. Oh, should we spy on him then? Mai asked in a curious voice. It won't work since he is a censor. And 2, he will tell us what it is later on, so it's no point trying to find it out, one of the genin Alexa from CS team answered. So tell me about Naruto, what kind of guy is he? Asked Mai. Why do you want to know? Yugito asked with narrowed eyes. Well, he did save my life and I may be attracted to him. So I wanted to know about him, Mai answered. Back off, girlfriend. Naruto-kun is mine, nearly every female Kumo genin said at the same time. I don't think so. According to him, he is the last member of the Uzumaki clan, so that automatically puts him in a CRA. He will have to take several wives to restore his clan, Mai said with a smirk as the remaining Kumo genin grumbled, knowing she was right. With Naruto, asterisk. Naruto stood alone in a clearing. He took a deep breath in before activating his lightning armor. After calming himself into the armor, he began channeling his black lightning. Soon his usual calm blue in the armor was replaced by a frantic black. He then put all of his focus into maintaining the black lightning armor for as long as he could. Just when he was about to lose control, he decided to give a speed check and rushed forward to hit a tree. It was over in a flash of black. The tree was in 2 pieces and Naruto was standing behind it breathing heavily. He grinned to himself. He knew one thing, the black lightning armor was very much possible. All he needed was to get the next exercise of black lightning manipulation down. He then crossed his fingers and created 300 clones. He said to them, "Alright guys, let's do this. 250 of you on black lightning manipulation. 50 of you on to the seals we will need in 1 month." The clones nodded before setting up to work. From afar, Derry and B were watching the blonde maelstrom with wide eyes. He really is a genius. To be able to create and maintain a black lightning armor even if just for a few minutes is nothing short of amazing. Isn't it? B asked, his voice unnaturally serious for once. I agree. He will make an amazing Raikage one day. If he manages to master the black lightning armor by the end of this mission, he will be known around the elemental nations as the Black Flash of Kumo. Derry replied. Aren't you going to give him advice on the third and arguably the hardest step in black lightning manipulation? B asked. No, he is already going way too fast. Using those clones he will be done by the end of the month. Aren't you going to give him any more chakra to increase the number of clones he can produce? Derry asked back. No, I want him to learn to be self-dependent but willing to accept help when the situation requires it. It's my part in the upbringing of our upcoming Raikage. B answered with a grin. That is an important quality, Derry said as he nodded his head in agreement. Both of them then fell silent as they watched Naruto up his resistance seals to level 5. He then struggled to move around the clearing. Both Derry and B had only one thought at that moment. Why do you try so hard, Naruto? Kids your age don't put their bodies on the line like you do. Unbeknownst to them, after the encounter with his family, his resolve to grow stronger had flared up again. There was no way in hell he would forgive them or let them use him again. Naruto was panting in the clearing he was using to train. Currently he was extremely pissed considering the fact that there was yet another Konoha team here. It seems Zabuza had convinced the Yondaime to send a team from Konoha TP help in the exchange of a few silent killing techniques. The reason Naruto was pissed was because the jonin that Konoha sent was Mike Guy, who constantly shouted that it was unyouthful of Naruto to stay away from home. Naruto, because of mission grounds, let his senseis handle any diplomatic matters while he trained and created the seals they would need. He suddenly straightened up as he felt a presence behind him, and said, "Come on out, I know you are there." As he finished, Niji Hyuga, a genin from the Konoha team, stepped into the clearing with a sneer plastered on his face. Seeing him, Naruto sighed a bit. Niji had been trying to get under his skin ever since they met. Naruto, however, kept his control in check as he had no intention of endangering the mission. "So what do you want, Hyuga?" "You will talk to me with respect, Kumo nin." Niji snarled, but Naruto had enough. "I've got no reason to. I am stronger than you and have way more respect than you do. So back off and don't endanger my mission. Or else," Naruto stated in a cold voice. "Or else what, you'll take my eyes to Kumo? Please, the branch seal will destroy them before you get the chance." Niji scoffed but soon turned slightly fearful when he saw Naruto's smile. "In case you forgot, Hyuga, I am a level 10 seals master in Uzumaki seal arts. And your seal is a deviant from an Uzumaki seal. It will take me 5 minutes to remove it and take your eyes. So don't tempt me," Naruto said. Niji slightly backed away before he turned and left the clearing. Naruto then shushined away for the final meeting between the rebels before they put his plan into action. His seals were ready and now the only thing left was execution. Entering the meeting hall, he moved in and sat down with the rest of the Kumo contingent, and waited for the others to appear. Soon the main rebel leaders appeared along with the Konoha team, and the meeting began. "So everything is ready, I presume?" Mei asked. "It is. My clones are planting the seals as we speak. We should be able to attack tomorrow night," Naruto answered. "So me, Zabuza and Mangetsu will be leading our personal groups to 3 different fortresses. One will be taken by Konoha, and what about you guys?" asked Mei. "We will be taking 4 of them. I will be taking 1 solo, so don't worry about manpower," Naruto calmly said. The Kumo contingent sighed. They knew Naruto was going to go through his very cool but foolish routine and knew they couldn't stop him. Mei looked the Kumo jonin, who merely nodded in response. The plan was set, and now they were going to go on a full frontal assault. The next day, all the groups were ready and had left. Just as Naruto was about to leave, he was stopped by Mai and Haku, 2 girls he had grown considerably close to over the last month. He did find them attractive, and he wouldn't mind bringing the 2 of them into his life. What stopped him was that he didn't want to force himself on them. It was a bonus that Yugito liked the duo. What's wrong, my-chan, Haku-chan? Naruto said as he saw them. Both of them looked at each other before Mai stepped forward and kissed Naruto square on the lips, leaving Naruto stunned. His confusion only grew when Haku stepped forward and did the same. Naruto stood there stunned as Haku and Mai chuckled at his frozen expression. What was that all about? Naruto asked with a dumbfounded expression. Well, Naruto-kun, truth be told, both of us fell for you. You are sweet, caring, not a pervert, strong and honorable. You actually won us over. We already have talked to Yugito, and she doesn't mind if we join your CRA. Mai said with a blush as Haku nodded with her cheeks painted pink. Wow, I am one lucky bastard. I guess you guys came here to tell me to be careful, right? If yes, don't worry, I wouldn't keep my Nikoheim, Hyoheim, and Yoheim waiting. See you on the other side, Naruto said as he activated his lightning armor and flashed away. As soon as Naruto reached position, he spoke through a radio and said Black Crystal in position over. A few minutes later he received the following signals. Octopops in position, B said. Dull Life in position, Derry said. Rhine in position, C said. Lava in position, May said. Dissolving White Head in position. I am going to kill you, brat, Mangetsu said. Cowman in position. Kid, prepare for torture, Zabuza growled out. Team Youth in position. Let us get this youthful mission underway. Alright then, the mission is a go. Fu and Kai. As soon as Naruto said that, at once 8 different fortresses had their defenses broken and all of the rebel forces charged in at once to take over the fortress. There was no specific difficulty for them to overthrow the hold the Mizukage held in these fortresses. The element of surprise along with the sheer firepower of the allies was enough to beat and capture the people guarding the fortresses. Some of the people who escaped all ran away to the remaining 2 fortresses. However, there was one fortress where not even a single Mist Nin had survived. It was the fortress that Naruto had invaded. The only thing the civilians who had been living inside could see was a black blur that was slicing down on the Mist Nin, leaving no one alive. May had then sent some of her strongest operatives along with a decent number of ninjas to re-establish order in those fortresses. Naruto had immediately rushed into action by creating brand new barrier seals that replaced the old weak ones into near impenetrable ones. Something that May was very thankful for. His seals had ensured that even a Kage-level shinobi couldn't break them unless they were adept at Uzumaki's sealing arts. A week after the takeover, everyone except Naruto was seated in the meeting room to discuss what was to happen next until a Chunin bursted into the room and shouted, May-sama, Yagura and his army are here, they've got the village surrounded. Naruto-san has been pushing the army back, but he needs backup. The Kumo contingent along with Mei Mangetsu and Zabuza rushed to Naruto's aid. They were surprised when they found a panting Naruto holding his white blade. He was surrounded by a layer of black lightning, something that caused nearly everyone's eyes to pop out. Specifically Darui and B. They looked around and saw that Naruto was surrounded by bodies and he was facing a scowling Yagura. Feeling the familiar signatures behind him, he said, My-chan, throw me a soldier pill, while the rest of you go and take out the other Nin that are attacking. I will take care of Yagura. Everyone hesitated before following the blonde's instructions. He had completely ignored the rank and had rescued a large number of people by keeping the opposers out. So shall we continue, Mizukage-san? Asked Naruto as he pointed his sword at Yagura. You think you can beat me, brat? Yagura growled at the reason he had almost lost the war. No, I know I can. All I need is one hit on you and you lose. It doesn't even have to be lethal hit, a mere tap will be enough, Naruto said as he felt his chakra coming back to him courtesy of a food pill. Oh, and how do you intend to do that? Yagura said as he released his 3-tailed state and got ready to fight. How about I show you? Naruto said as he flared his black lightning armor. Both the Nins rushed at each other, Naruto using his speed and superior Kenjutsu skills while Yagura used his natural water affinity along with his Biju to counter it. This continued for a few moments, after which Naruto was pushed back. However, Yagura soon spotted the smirk on Naruto's face and asked, What are you smiling about, kid? I am about to kill you, you know. This. Fuin. Naruto finished with a ram sign and suddenly Yagura felt the gravity on the area increase by 10-fold. He wasn't able to move and was now kneeling on the ground as Naruto casually walked up to him before slamming 2 Gyugo Fuins on his Biju seal. As soon as he applied the first one, Yagura felt the Sambas chakra leaving him. The second one completely took away the feeling of having the beast in him. Naruto then noticed a glazed look in Yagura's eyes and was about to kill him when Yagura said, Wait, what happened? Where am I? Who was that red-eyed man? Naruto narrowed his eyes at that, and instead of killing Yagura, he knocked him out so that Mei could do a little more research on the case. He then applied a suppression seal on Yagura before releasing his gravity seal. He then released his black lightning armor and turned to walk away only to fell unconscious at his second step. The only thing he remembered was seeing the worried faces of Haku and Mai. Both of them immediately rushed to the hospital, letting the rest of the guards take care of Yagura's body. And finally, after a very long struggle, the Civil War of the Mist had been finally put to the close, with the Bloodline rebels coming out on top. Naruto had suffered a severe case of chakra exhaustion and was hence resting. He had yet to wake up. The Konoha team had already collected their payment and had left, while the Kumo contingent stayed to discuss the terms of the treaty. It was decided that Suigetsu, Haku, and Mai would be the three sent to Kumo. It was mainly due to the fact that a political marriage between Naruto and the two girls had been fixed, and that Mangetsu wanted his brother to find his own path in life. The treaty was signed and everyone was happy. The only thing left was for Naruto to wake up. Midway to the fourth day, he groaned before waking up. Immediately he heard 3 sets of footsteps and 3 different shouts of Naruto Kyuin. He was glommed by 3 different hugs. Barely opening his eyes, he saw Yugito, Mai, and Haku hugging him like their lives depended on it. Naruto then weakly returned the hug. His reserve was nowhere near full, and it would take a couple of days for him to get in traveling condition. "So girls, how you doing?" he said, trying to start up a conversation. "You baka, do you how worried we were?" Yugito sobbed as she hugged him. "You idiot, what were you thinking when you decided to take on a whole army on your own?" Mai sobbed into his chest. "Did you even consider what would have happened to us if something happened to you?" Haku whimpered. Naruto sighed before he shifted a little and brought all 3 of the girls into a tighter hug. He held them all close before softly whispering, only loud enough for them to hear, "I am really sorry. I didn't want to make you worried. The only thing in my mind was that I had to ensure your safety and keep you guys safe from the upcoming army. And nope, I can't die not before I become the Raikage." "You blonde baka," all 3 girls said at once as he chuckled. "Now then, what happened while I was asleep?" asked Naruto. "Oh, the war is over," Mai said. "Treaty has been agreed and signed," Yugito added. "We are going to Kumo as soon as you are healthy," Haku said. "What do you mean we?" asked Naruto. "Oh, Mai and Haku were a part of the political marriage set up for you to signify the treaty. Suigetsu-kun and Samui are engaged as well," Yugito explained as Naruto let out a shocked whistle. "Wow, that was nice. So you girls are okay with this?" asked Naruto. "Why wouldn't we be? We are friends and all 3 of us wholeheartedly love you and you love us. You are already under Ciare, so it isn't much of a problem," Mai said with a shrug. "Okay, then let's get going," Naruto said as he stood up and was about to leave when Mai, Haku, and Yugito pushed him back onto the bed. Sighing, he nodded before rolling off to sleep. The group had just finished the mission and were back in Kumo. Naruto was exhausted. The use of the black lightning armor was taxing. He estimated that it would be around a couple of days before he could train again. He was too busy in his thoughts to notice that the Jonins were all frowning because of what the gate guards had told them. He then turned to all the genin and said, "You guys head home and rest. Suigetsu, you should go with my team to rest. Mai, Haku, go with Naruto and Yugito. Your senseis and I will handle the mission report." Naruto narrowed his eyes but complied nonetheless. Everyone then went home accordingly. Naruto, for one, was very excited to see Arina again. He hoped that she wouldn't get worried because of his injuries, though he did wonder why he had become so serious. It was unlike that happy-go-lucky rapping hippie to take things seriously. With the senseis, "It's good we stopped at the gates. If not, it would have created a troublesome situation," Darui said in monotone as the 3 Jonin made way to the Raikage's office. "I know what you mean. I knew they would come for negotiations, but to think they would send the 3 of them to come. I think it would be best if B went over to Naruto's place," C said, making both B and Darui nod. B then disappeared while Darui and C made way to the meeting to back I up. After all, it was very rare for the Densetsu no Sannin to be seen together in one place in the current times. Entering the office, they saw the Sannin sitting across I as they talked. "Boss, we are back," Darui said. "Ah, nice of you to join us. I did inform the gate guards to call you here. Now let's restart the meeting," I said. "Ah, yes, please. We are here on the behalf of the Yondaime Hokage to negotiate a peace treaty with you," Tsunade said. "And what makes you think that we want this treaty?" I asked. "It will act as a major war deterrent to our enemies if they see 2 of the strongest shinobi villages allying together," Orochimaru stated. "That is a valid argument, and considering your alliance with Suna and ours with Kiri, it would create a strong force." "What are the terms?" asked I. Both villages will be sharing jutsus. Bloodlines will not be involved. Konoha will provide its medical services while Kumo will assist us if any war breaks out. Finally, the last thing that Konoha demands is the return of Naruto Namikaze. Jiraiya said as he looked at the Raikage and waited for a response. With Naruto and the girls made way to their home and entered. He was soon barreled on to the ground by an excited Irina who shouted, "2-san, I miss you." Naruto felt a little pain but didn't flinch and hugged Irina back and said, "I missed you to Eri-chan. Were you good while I was away?" I good, she answered giddily. Naruto then stood up and kissed her on the forehead before carrying her into the lounge. As he left, Haku and Mai looked over at Yugito and asked, "Did she really call him 2-san?" Yup. Naruto adopted her during the mission to the wave. He sees her like she was his own child and loves her very much. He also always makes time for her, Yugito answered. Both Haku and Mai smiled at the answer. Naruto was perfect after all. Back with the Kages. "I am sorry, we won't accept this treaty," I stated in a matter-of-fact tone. "May we know why?" asked Tsunade. "Mainly because you are asking me to return a poor boy to a hellhole. And that is ignoring the fact that he is my most promising genin," I stated. "That promising genin belongs to Konoha, his home," Orochimaru stated. "This is so dull. I will not allow him to go back. He still has scars from all the beatings he endured in the place you call home. Heck, it took him 2 years before he finally started sleeping without nightmares. What makes you think we will send him back there?" Darui said in an uncharacteristically serious voice. This information caught the Sannin off guard. If Naruto really was that affected, it would be near impossible to get him back. However, before Orochimaru could answer, Jiraiya said the village has changed. They have realized their mistakes and are willing to make amends. Pretty early for them to realize, don't you think? Naruto has already accepted Kumo as his village. He has a family here and is loved by everyone. He is one of our most important ninjas and will be the Raikage when boss steps down. He will not be returned, she said, causing Jiraiya to seethe. "How about we ask Naruto what he wants?" Orochimaru asked. "Will you go back if he decides to stay here?" asked I. "We will, but will you let him go if he decides to leave?" asked Tsunade. "Of course he may know most of my moves, but I know he won't betray me by selling them out," I said before he turned to Darui and asked him to get Naruto. Darui nodded before shushing away. At Naruto's place. Naruto was playing with Irina as the girls were getting used to their home. It was then that the door was knocked. Picking Irina up, he made his way to the door and opened it, revealing Bee and Darui. Both were wearing the battle-hardened looks that earned them the titles of Kumo's Gordian and Kumo's Black Death. "What's the matter, Bee-Nissen, Darui-sensei?" asked Naruto. "It's Konoha," Darui said. "Wait one moment," Naruto said as he went back into his house and gave Irina to Yugito. He told them that he was summoned by the Raikage and would be back soon. The girls nodded before bidding him goodbye. Naruto then turned on his shinobi mode. It was the mode he had developed after his first kill. In it he turned off all of his emotions, leaving behind a battle-ready warrior. Exiting the door, he turned to his teacher, an older brother figure, and asked, "What's the matter?" "Konoha sent the Densetsu no Sannin to negotiate a peace treaty. They want to take you back." Naturally, boss disagreed. "Currently all of them are waiting in the room to see what you want to do," Darui answered. "Those bastards," Naruto seethed. "Fine, I will tell them exactly what I want. Let's go then," Naruto said as the three started walking towards the Raikage's office. The office. As he entered, Naruto went up and hugged I and said, "What can I do for you, Aji-sensei?" I chuckled good-naturedly and said, "Naruto, these people would like to talk with you." Naruto then turned to the Sannin before he hardened his gaze and said, "What can I do for Densetsu no Sannin? As far as I am concerned, I can't think of anything I can help you with. Orochimaru is the ninjutsu expert and has more jutsus than me. Jiraiya is a seals master like me, and I have no talent in medical ninjutsu. So what do you want?" Jiraiya frowned a little before he smiled and said, Now, Naruto, that isn't a way to talk to your godparents." "Who the hell made you my godparents? As far as I am concerned, Mabui Kachin didn't name anyone to be my godparent," Naruto snarled. "What do you mean your father and mother back in Konoha named us as your godparents? And we are here to take you back. Don't you want to come back to your family? We will even give you a couple of good marriage contracts with the Uchihas and Higas," Jiraiya said. "Not interested. I already have girlfriends and I am not interested in what you offer me. You can take your offers and leave. I made Kumo my home and no thing is going to change that," Naruto hotly said. enraged that the man thought he could be bribed into returning. Well, I guess that answers that. Naruto will not be going to Konoha. So you can take the offer for peace treaty and throw it out the window. Also, you may leave as the negotiations are closed, I said. Wait, Naruto, don't you want to join the Uzumaki clan in Konoha? Don't you know it was Kumo who killed the majority of the clan in Yugito? Tsunade asked, trying the emotional approach to get Naruto to leave with him. In that order then. The Uzumaki clan in Konoha is fake. Since I am the firstborn of the last heir, it automatically makes me the next head. I have already undertaken the right to clan head when I visited Yugito for sealing materials. And 2, it was time of war and Aji wasn't in charge, so them wiping out Yugito doesn't affect my judgment. Naruto calmly answered. The 3 Sannin looked on in disbelief before Jiraiya pointed a finger at Ai and said, "You must have had a seal on him." As soon as he finished, all 5 of the Kumo nin burst into laughter, much to the confusion of the Sannin. Naruto was the first one to recover. He looked at the Sannin and said, "I am a level 10 Uzumaki-style sealing master. My skill in seals matches the skill of the Yellow Flash, and the Beneheim. I am pretty sure I can dispel any seal placed on me. Now then, if that is all, you may leave." The 3 Sannin grumbled before they left. As they left, I turned to Naruto and said, "You do know that they will be back for more, right?" "I am sure they will. However, nothing they do will change my view. They have done enough to screw my life already," Naruto answered as the room went quiet, too quiet for Naruto's liking. "What?" he asked, getting a little annoyed. "You do know that you rapped, and it was better than B," I stated. "Damn, I didn't notice," Naruto said as he left a frozen bee in the room. Soon B unfroze and ran after Naruto, shouting about a new comrade in the art of rapping. I sighed, knowing how troublesome things were about to come. He had to also consider the new nins and promotions specifically for Naruto. After all, not many genin can beat a Kage. The next day. "Alright then, my Haku and Sujetsu, you will be the brand new Team 12 with Shiryuchi being your sensei. I wish the 3 of you good luck," I said to the 3 new genin in front of him. The 3 of them nodded before bowing out and leaving the room. I then turned to Naruto and said, "I want to promote you TP Chunin. Specifically, after your laurels in the mist, you are being called the Black Flash of Kumo. Any reason for that title?" "Well, I may have or may not have created the Black Lightning version of the lightning armor," Naruto answered as he scratched his cheek. I blinked once, blinked twice, blinked thrice before he calmly said, "Training ground 6 in 1 hour. No exception." Naruto shivered as I only used that tone when the training was going to be more brutal than having to listen to be rapping. He sighed before he left to get ready for a torture session. In Konoha, the Densetsu no Sannin had just arrived back in the village and were making way to Minato's office in the Hokage's tower to deliver their reports. As they entered the room, they saw Hiruzen, Minato, Kushina along with the 3 elders in the room. "Welcome back, how did it go?" Minato asked. "Can the elders leave for this, as it is a personal family matter?" Jiraiya said as he looked at Minato. The elders were about to object when Hiruzen cut in and said in the voice that made him the shinobi no kami back in his day, "It would be good for you to leave. The topic in discussion has nothing to do with village security." The elders grumbled but nodded nonetheless. Tsunade then said the ANBU as well. Minato sighed before he signaled the 4 ANBU in the room to leave. As they left, Orochimaru turned to the wall and stabbed it with a kunai, bringing out a dead ANBU within a mask. "It seems Danzo is getting a little bolder, don't you think?" Hiruzen asked around the room as Kushina clasped her hands together and activated the privacy seals in the room. "It seems that way. Now what did they say, is Naruto coming back?" asked Minato. "He isn't. He has no love or attachment to the Konoha. We offered him marriage contracts with both the Uchiha and the Hyuga and he turned us down. It seems that we truly have pushed him farther than anything thought possible," Orochimaru explained. "Did you tell him about us?" Kushina asked, desperation in her voice evident. "We did," he however stated that he has no family whatsoever in Konoha, Tsunade said in a sad voice. "But wouldn't he want to come back here? I mean, his parents, siblings, everyone is here," Minato asked. "It's because of the complete extent of what happened to him. His sensei told us that he had nightmares about the torture he was subjected to at Konoha. Even now he still has the scars from those days," Jiraiya said with a sad sigh. As he finished talking, the room went silent as they took in what the Sannin had told him. Minato was raking his brain trying to find a way to have Naruto forgive them and return to Konoha. He decided to back up for now and focus on securing a deal with Kumo when the Chunin exams came around. His thought process was cut off when Hiruzen spoke and said, "I think we should back up from trying to bring him back. His health may be of issue if he is forced. I think it would be best to have him as an envoy. Also, before you make another parental mistake, I suggest you apologize to him. Ah, that is a good idea on the envoys. I guess I will talk to I personally when the Chunin exams come around. Minato exclaimed. Hiruzen just lightly shook his head with a small frown. The path he is walking on will more or less likely destroy any chance of a comeback for Naruto. It seems that I will have to help in the upcoming negotiations. Back in Kumo, Naruto was laying on the ground panting heavily as he glared at the amused Ai standing over him. That was a very nice move, Naruto. However, its toll on your body is something that we need to work on. I think I also need to improve my chakra control and black lightning manipulation. It takes a lot of focus to use. I will lose against an opponent who is ready for the pace. Naruto said. He sat up but kept on panting. That's right, and a good assessment. It's because of that we will be upping your gravity seals by 3 times. You won't be going on missions for the month. I will be once again training you personally, I said as Naruto gaped at him a little. Why the month, sensei? Asked Naruto. Because of the upcoming Chunin exams in Konoha, I answered as he left his answer hanging around in the air. But Gigi, you said you were going to promote me to Chunin because of my performance on missions? Naruto said as he desperately tried to find a loophole. I was, but then I decided against it. The Chunin exams are a country's display of strength, and you are our strongest genin, I said. Ah, come on, Gigi, how about this? I take the next Chunin exams and not the upcoming ones, Naruto argued. Not going to happen. Konoha holds the number 1 position in the Hidden Village ranking. While we are very similar in terms of power, they hold the position because of winning 3 consecutive shinobi wars. Displaying our strength over there will send a major message, I explained. But Gigi, Naruto whined. No buts, young man. How about this? If you kick ass in the exams, I spend a week with you creating new Shoten moves, I said with a hidden smirk. He knew Naruto loved experimentation and learning. He'd jump at this chance. Awesome, you got it. I'll kick ass so bad that no one will know what hit them, Naruto said as he jumped a little, chuckled a little before ruffling Naruto's hair and sending him off to his home with instructions to come back here tomorrow for a thorough training session. I returned to the office where he drew up the paperwork he needed to send to Konoha regarding the teams that entered the Fire Country. The next day at Konoha, Minato sighed as he looked at his daughter's team. They were once again here asking for a C rank mission. However, before he could answer, then a Chunin walked in and said, Hokage-sama, there is a letter from the Raikage and Kumo. Give it to me, Minato said urgently. He opened the letter, and after reading it he gave out a small smile. What's in the letter to San? Yui asked after seeing Minato's smile. Oh, it's just a notice from the Raikage regarding the teams they will be sending. Your brother is among the genin being sent by Kumo, Minato answered. That means we will have a chance to talk and convince him to come back. Databane, Kushina happily said. The other members of the team coughed, getting the topic back on hand. Soon they got the mission to go to Sunagakure to hand over a document that was set in to improve the trade between the 2 villages. In Kumo, the trio from the Mist Village were hard at work. Their Jonin sensei was one who had techniques from all of the elements, making him the ideal sensei for them. All 3 of them were furthering their manipulation and control for their elements along with bolstering their arsenal while strengthening their current techniques. Team B, being the Kenjutsu specialists, were working to get to the next level in sword arts. They were hoping to get at least 4 new moves mastered in time for the Chunin exams. Meanwhile, with Team 9, Darui was working with both Yugito and Atsu, increasing their arsenal with jutsu while helping them also improve their taijutsu and kenjutsu styles. Naruto, meanwhile, was being put through his paces by Ai. He was mainly focusing on his chakra control, manipulation, and physical strength. He would definitely increase his control over his black lightning armor by the time for the Chunin exams. Time skipped 1 month. Alright, you guys are among Kumo's elite genin teams. I have utmost faith in your fighting powers. Go and prove the might of Kumo in these exams, I said as he stood at the gate and addressed the 4 genin teams in front of him. You betcha, Gigi, we will make you proud, Naruto, who was wearing a Kakashi-like mask, said loudly as the other genin nodded. I chuckled as he then watched the teams run up to Konoha. His face then turned a little serious. He had not sent Naruto and his team without security. He had sent a strongly worded letter to Minato that if anything, and he meant anything, happened to Naruto or any other genin which was not remotely related to the exams, it would mean an all-out war. Minato obviously did assure him nothing would happen and even invited him for peace talks during the exams. I knew he would need to address the issue soon, as even his own council, despite being suck-ups to Naruto, wanted a treaty to go through. After all, a treaty between 4 great villages would unnerve about everyone. 4 days later, Konoha's gates. Who goes there? Asked a Chunin gate guard at Konoha's gates. Karabi from Kumo, leading the delegation of genins taking part in the Chunin exams. B said. Alright then, I want all of you to sign in before reporting in the Hokage's office. The Chunin said, to which B nodded before everyone signed in their names. The gate guards blinked when they saw Naruto's name and blinked, however he couldn't see Naruto's face due to his mask and hence couldn't confirm anything. Making their way to the Hokage building, B walked up to the secretary and said, "Yo, we here for the Chunin exams, yo." The Kumo group sighed tiredly while the secretary blinked in confusion. Darui went up before explaining the whole situation, after which the secretary stood up and led them to the Hokage's office. Inside the office, B said, "Yo, Minato, it's good to see you, bro." "B, it's been a while. I presume you are here for the Chunin exams?" asked Minato as he studied the group of Kumo genin before his eyes fell on to Naruto. He stared at him for a few moments before he turned back to B, who nodded at his initial question. "Very well then, please go to the Golden Leaf Hotel. We have arrangements ready. However, would it be possible for me to speak with Naruto for a moment?" Minato asked. B and the other jonin nodded and left the room, ignoring the looks of incredulity that Naruto was sending their way. Naruto in the end sighed, since he knew that there was no way out of the situation. Hence he began schooling his emotions. He needed to keep his anger in check and not cause any political incident that Konoha could use as a leverage against Kumo. "What do you require of me, Hokage Dano?" Naruto asked in a stoic monotone. Minato sadly sighed. The tone his own son had used was a completely professional one. He would have to tread very carefully. "I just wanted to see how you were doing. And since when did a father need a reason to speak to his own son?" Naruto grit his teeth in anger, and at the mere guts of the man in front of him. He took a deep breath before saying, "Forgive me, Hokage Dano, but I do not have a father. I was abandoned a long time ago, after all. And as for how I am doing very, very well, thank you. Now is that all?" "One more question, would you like to have lunch with us?" asked Minato. "I will have to decline, Hokage Dano, since I am in no way related to you and have team that is more than likely waiting for me to arrive. Good day," Naruto said as he stood up and left the room. Minato found himself unconsciously raising his arm in an attempt to stop Naruto, but Naruto himself had already walked out the door, gently closing it behind him. He lightly closed his fist and brought his hand back down, letting a solitary tear escape his eyes. Because of his folly and blatant favoritism, his son was now gone, and it seemed that no amount of work would bring back the trust that he once had towards his family. Sighing, he knew that the only thing he could do now was to find a way to enter a peace treaty with Kumo and maybe convince I to talk to Naruto about at least easing up to the idea of opening up to his blood family. With Naruto briskly walked out of the building before breathing in a heavy sigh of relief. The talk had gone better than he could have hoped for it to go. Now all he had to do was find the Golden Leaf Hotel and reunite himself with his teammates and friends. As he walked, however, an important realization struck him. He had no idea where the hell the Golden Leaf Hotel was. As he walked with his hands in his pocket, he spotted Sayuri Uchiha walking out of a shop with a few bags. Remembering the conversation he had with her and the fact that she was one person in the village whose presence he could, Naruto walked up to her and said, "It's been a while, hasn't it, Kunoichi-san?" Sayuri jumped before looking back and spotted Naruto, who was giving her an eye smile that her sensei would be proud of. In the beginning, however, she did not recognize Naruto, his mask, but soon after, looking at the blonde hair and diamond blue eyes. "Naruto-san?" she asked in an uncertain voice. "Got it in one, give Kunoichi-san here a prize." "How are you, Kunoichi-san?" asked Naruto. "First of all, my name isn't Kunoichi-san, it's Sayuri. Second of all, what the hell are you doing in Konoha? And third of all, I am very well, thank you," Sayuri said with a pout which made her look infinitely cute in Naruto's opinion. "Alright, Sayuri-chan. I am here in Konoha for the Chunin exams that are taking place in a week's time. Also, is there anything else you would like to ask me about?" asked Naruto. Would you like me to show you around the village? I mean, navigation would be tough for you. We could also grab a bite to eat," Sayuri said with a small, barely noticeable blush adorning her cheeks. "Who are asking me out on a date, Sayuri-kan?" Naruto asked, his eyes having a teasing glow. "What, no, I was only offering to show you around as a fellow acquaintance," Sayuri quickly retorted as the blush on her cheeks amplified. Naruto in response merely chuckled at her expense before patting her on the head, making her blush reach atomic levels. He then said, "I was just teasing you, Sayuri-chan. Would you be kind enough to show me to Golden Leaf Hotel so that I may meet up with my team? And as for your offer to show me around, I will take you up on that on another day." Sayuri nodded with a smile before she turned and walked towards the golden leaf. It was a 20-minute walk after which they arrived at the hotel. Naruto turned to Sayuri and said, "Thank you for bringing me here, Sayuri-chan. Now let me escort you to your home. After all, it isn't safe for a girl like you to travel alone at this hour." "Hey, I am not just a girl, I am an awesome kunoichi," Sayuri said as she pouted once more. Naruto chuckled at her cute expression once again before patting her on the head. He then said, "That's true, but there are drunk shinobi out there who could take advantage of you. Now let's go." She could only dumbly nod as he escorted her back to the Uchiha compound. He then gave her a quick kiss to the cheek before bidding her goodbye and leaving. Sayuri stood there stunned before she brought up her free hand and touched the place she had felt his lips on. She squealed in an un-Uchiha-like manner before running off into the compound. Truth be told, she had a minor crush on Naruto ever since she first saw him. She right now was on cloud 9. However, she didn't have time to enjoy, as there was an upcoming storm that would shake the very bases of their lives. The next day, council room. The council was in uproar when they learnt that Naruto was back in the village as Kumo ninja. They were also mad about the fact that the Kumo contingent were given one of the largest training grounds in the village, and that the training couldn't be spied upon for reasons unknown. "I can't believe why you aren't trying to make him stay here, Minato. He is your son after all," Hisashi the Hyuga clan had said. "I have tried, he refuses to talk to me, and I can't force unless I want a full-on war with Kumo. They are just as strong as us, and I for one don't want the kids to fight again," Minato said. "I don't see why not, after all they are all just tools for the village to use," Kohara stated before she was hit by a very strong and potent wave of killing intent. The intent released by Minato made the whole room shake. Everyone in the room was once again reminded of why Minato was given the rank of flea on sight. "Let me remind you of the belief that this village was built on, counselor. It was made to use the will of fire to defend the village from harm and to make sure that our young children don't have to fight. Dishonor that belief again and I will kill you where you stand. Am I clear, counselor?" asked Minato. "Hi, Hokage-sama," Kohara said as she sweated profusely under the immense pressure being exerted by Minato. Danzo then spoke. "That still doesn't explain why we don't know of the training that the team is doing in that training ground. They may have a seals master with them who set up privacy seals. It's not illegal or wrong, every village is entitled to its secrets," Minato said with a shrug. "You are becoming senile, Minato. I think you are unfit to run the village," Danzo said with a little seeth. That's interesting, Danzo. Where were you when IWA launched that invasion? Or better, where were you when QB attacked? You talk as if you are the one who defended the village, but in truth you just hid back in your bunker like the coward you are. You aren't fit to be a leader, so back off," Minato condescendingly replied. Danzo seethed as the clan heads and Hiruzen snickered at the old warhawk. The meeting then went off without a hitch, after which everyone left. As they did, only Minato and Hisashi were left. Not noticing his best friend and teammate's presence, Minato gave a very tired sigh and slumped on his seat. "You look like shit, you know?" asked Hisashi. "That's because I feel like shit. My life has been downhill of late, and I can't see what's happening in my personal life. My son hates me and is completely indifferent. Heck, he doesn't even acknowledge us as family," Minato sadly said. "I know how you feel, Minato. If it's any conciliation, I will be more than willing to talk to him for you. I was rather fond of the boy before he left," Hisashi said. "You were? I thought you hated pranking?" Minato asked. To his immense surprise, Hisashi broke out into a fit of laughter. Minato then brought his hands together and jokingly said, "The cold and stoic Hisashi Hyuga is laughing. It must be the end of the world." Hisashi didn't mind at all since Minato was a brother to him. "Oh, come now, Minato, you insult me. Who do you think helped him with all the pranks on the Hyuga estate?" "Wait, you were in on them? Those pranks cost me weeks of paperwork," Minato shouted. "Yes, I know. The kid came to me asking on how to get to you for ignoring his 5th birthday. On my side, the council was being a headache. So I told him to prank the Hyuga elders. In fact, I left the gate open for him to operate. In the end, the elders were put in their place. I got a good laugh out of it, and he got back at you through paperwork," Hisashi said. "You know I hate you, right?" Minato grumbled. "Now we both know where an oblivious old fool would be without me and Hisashi. Anyways, I'll try and talk with Naruto soon. You should come by for a game of poker," Hisashi said as he walked out the door. Minato could only dumbly nod as he saw his best friend leave the room. With that, he flashed back to his home. At his home, he found his wife cooking while his daughter was practicing with her kunai back in the ground. He tiredly plopped down on the sofa. "Rough day, honey?" asked Kushina. "Define rough," he tiredly replied. Kushina sadly looked at Minato. She knew he completely blamed himself for Naruto's departure, and looking at their son's current indifference, she knew it was eating him up immensely on the inside. There, honey, he will eventually come around. All we need to do is to wait for him just like he waited for us, Kushina soothingly said as she rubbed his shoulders. I know, but that doesn't make it hurt less. I have wronged my family. I made him feel like an orphan, even though I know how horrible that feeling is. I want to make it up to him, but he is so far off that I can't even see him anymore, Minato sadly replied. Kushina didn't reply and opted her husband's shoulders, helping him to relax. Yui sighed sadly as she heard all that. She missed playing with her brother. Even when they were young, he used to cheer her up when she had a bad training session, or if someone made fun of her red hair. She just wanted her brother back. Maybe she would ask his girlfriend for help. For now she needed the hot springs. Elsewhere, Training Ground 43. Alright everyone, that is enough for today. Since the exam is tomorrow, I want all of you to go around and relax so that you are in prime form tomorrow. Also, Naruto the Raikage said you can't use your black lightning, Darui stated as he addressed the genin in front of him. Alright sensei. The genin chorused as they all except Naruto left. Looking at Naruto, Darui said, what's wrong, Naruto? Naruto, who had his hands crossed, flared his chakra and entered his black lightning form and said, I am not tired, sensei, let's spar. Naruto finished as he charged himself at the Jonin's, hence beginning to spar. The remaining guys decided to go back to their hotel room to rest up, while the girls decided to go and relax at the local hot springs, and made their way there. Inside the hot springs, Samui, Yugito, Haku and Mai found Sayuri and Yui already in there. They quietly entered and sat down in the water, giving sighs of relaxation. That hits the spot, Haku moaned blissfully. I agree, Yugito moaned out. Nothing better than a soak after sparring with Naruto-kun, Mai moaned. It's cool, Samui said stoically, once again showing off her control over her emotions. Sayuri looked at them before scooting over and introducing herself. Hi, my name is Sayuri Uchiha, what's yours? She said a little shyly. After her first run-in with Naruto in the wave, she had been rethinking her life and had become rather humble and quiet. And I, Yugito. These are Samui, Haku and Mai, Yugito said with a grin. Everyone enthusiastically started talking about random stuff. That was when Yui said, Ano, can you tell me more about Naruto? Why do you want to know Namikaze? Yugito asked. Yui started. You what? Growled Haku. JJUSD, Yui tried to say. Just what? Take him and ignore him again, Mai sternly interjected. I just want my brother, damn it. He was everything to me when we were kids. Always looking out for me, cheering me up at my failures or when I was sad. I hate myself, it was because of me that Ka and Tu-san ignored and pushed him away. Yui shouted out in frustration and sadness as she let a few tears escape her eyes. Yugito looked at her incredulously and found herself looking for lies in the eyes of the redhead but was unable to find anything. You know, kitten, I think she is telling the truth, we should help her. Your mate may get back his sister. How should we do it, Nibi? Yugito asked her tenant. I don't know, kitten, you should first get her to stop crying. I will try to get Kyubi to loosen up as well. Now go, Nibi said. Nodding mentally, she scooted over to the sobbing redhead and patted her back as she said, there. I can tell you genuinely miss Naruto-kun. We will talk to him about you and you alone. Now stop crying. You guys really mean it? Asked Yui. At seeing all of them nod, she jumped and happily exclaimed, Yada, we are going to be the best of friends. She then jumped on the 4 Kumo kunoichis and hugged them all. Alright then, let's all go to Naruto right now and have him talk to you. I am sure he will come around, Mai said with a clap of her hand as the kunoichis all left at once, dragging each other along the way. On the way to the hotel, they spotted a beaten, bruised and bleeding Naruto walking towards the hotel. The girls gasped when they saw his beaten state and rushed to him. Kami, Naruto-kun, what happened to you? Asked Yugito as Mai, Haku and Sayuri all began to check the full extent of his injuries. I am fine, just went a little too far in training. Getting hit by 100 Rai Bunshins does its damage to you. And I didn't know you'd be worried, Sayuri-chan. Naruto explained before finishing his talk with a teasingly long suffix. Said Uchiha sputtered out refusals which continued until she bonked Naruto on the head and said, Baka, I am worried about you, could you please not make fun of me right now? Naruto chuckled good-naturedly before patting the girl's head, causing the said Uchiha to blush red. Naruto then rose his eyebrow when he saw the fidgeting redhead. He quizzically looked at his fiancées and saw that they were giving him the we'll talk later look. Naruto then sighed and wiped a little blood from his cheek before saying, I am going to get a shower and then change. We can talk after that. The park would be a good place. I doubt that the locals will find it comforting that the Hokage's daughter in a hotel that is predominantly filled with Kumo ninja. The girls nodded before heading off to the park. Yui for her part was fidgeting as she waited for her brother to come and talk to her. Naruto arrived some 20 minutes later, this time much cleaner and healthier looking than his beaten condition from a few minutes ago. As he arrived, Yugito walked up to him and whispered, listen to her, she is telling the truth. Naruto nodded before kissing her on the cheek and moving to the bench where Yui was sitting. Sitting down beside her, he saw that his usual loud mouth of a sister was awfully quiet and was fidgeting. Sighing, he decided to forgive her. Her body language was more than enough evidence that she wanted him back. Also, in all of his conscience, he couldn't blame her. She had her mother's brain, and he knew she couldn't think complicated things. Also, he realized it would be foolish to push her away since his neglect wasn't her fault, rather it was his parents' decision. So he decided to ease her up a little bit, and said, it's been a long while, hasn't it, Emoto-chan? How have you been doing? I hope no one made fun of you while I was away. Hearing him speak, she launched herself at with a cry of Nissen. She sobbed into his chest as he tenderly rubbed her back. There, your brother is here. Even if there is no going back to Hokage Dano, I am still your brother. Never forget that. Now tell me about your life, then I will tell you mine. Yui then nodded as both brother and sister began catching up to their lives, telling them of all the friends they had made and of all the small day-to-day things. Needless to say, by the time they returned to their estates, they were both significantly happier. So, date after the exams? Naruto asked as he and his girlfriends roamed around the village just a day before the Chunin exams. That would be nice. Mai replied as Yugito and Haku nodded. Though I think you can call Sayuri-chan as well, she is fun to be around with, Yugito said with the other girls nodding. Alright then, I will ask her when I see her, Naruto said, making the other three nod. Suddenly he heard Yui shout. Put Konohamaru down. Making his way to the scene, he found a Sunanin with makeup and a cat outfit holding an 8-year-old boy by the scruff of his neck, while a dirty blonde-haired girl with a large fan was standing behind him. Naruto calmly moved forward and said, Lady, how about you put the kid down? Flaunting your strength against someone who isn't even a ninja will get you nowhere. You bastard, I am a guy, the cat-wearing outfit said. I am terribly sorry, your makeup threw me off, Naruto said. It's not makeup, you bastard, it's war paint, the cat costume nin said. Whatever, please let the kid or else, Naruto said as he finished with a wave of killer intent that made the cat-like nin shiver. He contemplated what to do and decided to act tough. As if Kumo trash can do something to me, he said before rearing his fist. However, before he could hit the boy, he was on the ground face first with crystalline kunai on his throat. Naruto then said in an eerily calm voice, insult my village again, and I will make you wish you were dead. He then got up and walked back to his group, who were watching with wide eyes. The blonde girl was surprised beyond measure. Someone her age was moving at speeds she couldn't even follow. Naruto then stopped and said, come out of the tree, Uchiha and Redhead. Suddenly a redhead who had a tattoo of love on his forehead appeared in a sand shushin. Kankuro, Temari, you are a disgrace to our village. But Gaara, the cat-like Kankuro tried to say but was cut off when Gaara said, Kankuro, shut up or I will kill you. Kankuro then wisely shut up as Gaara turned to the Konoha and Kumo ninjas before saying, I apologize for my siblings' actions. No harm done, Naruto said with an airy wave of his hand. The boy nodded before saying, are you taking part in the Chunin exams? Naruto merely nodded in response. Gaara then said, mother looks forward to taste your blood. With that he disappeared in a sand shushin. Naruto was about to walk off when he felt a tug on his sleeve. Looking down, he saw that it was the boy that he had just helped. Bending to the kid's height, he said, hey kid, how can I help you? That was awesome, Nissen. One moment you were there, the next moment you had him on the ground with that black shiny kunai. How did you do that? Konohamaru asked. Naruto smiled before ruffling the boy's head and saying, by training, kiddo. And as for that shiny kunai, that was my Kekai Genka Shoten. Naruto finished as he created a crystalline figure of the Kyuubi and handed it to Konohamaru, who was looking at it with wide eyes. Take this as a gift to remember me when you become the Hokage in the future, Naruto said before ruffling the boy's head again. Konohamaru looked at Naruto with wide eyes before saying, how did you know that I wanted to be the Hokage? You have the same hidden look in your eyes as me. I am being touted to be the Godame Raikage when my uncle steps down. I will be waiting to meet you as a fellow Kage, Naruto said with a nice smile. You bet, Nissen, I will become the Hokage. Say, Anai-chan, what is your name? Konohamaru asked. Naruto stood before walking away. Taking a couple of steps forward, he turned his head and said, Uzumaki Naruto, I will see you around Kono. Wait, how do you know my name, Naruto and I-chan? Konohamaru asked. That loud mouth over there shouted it so loud that nearly the whole village heard it. Naruto said as he pointed at Yui, who blushed in embarrassment. Hey, don't embarrass my boss like that, she'll be the Godame Hokage, Konohamaru said with a small glare. Naruto smiled before he ruffled Yui's head and said, it's nice that you care for her that way, Kono, make sure to keep on supporting her. Saying that, he nodded to his group before they left. As they left, one Sasuke Uchiha angrily glared at Naruto as he thought, how can he be so strong? I am an Uchiha, that power should be mine. Nina boss, is he your boyfriend? Konohamaru giddily asked. However, he was quickly bonked on the head by an embarrassed Yui, who said, No, you idiot, he is my brother. How, you have an older brother, boss? Why was he wearing the Kumo headband? Asked Konohamaru. That's a long story that I don't want to talk about, Kono. Maybe when you are older. Now he is way too far off to come back, Yui sadly said as she walked off with a solemn look on her face. So Naruto, what are you going to do? Asked Haku. Nothing really, Haku-chan, I think I am going to go and get a dip in that waterfall near the forest. You guys head back to the hotel, he said, but was stopped when Mai grabbed his hand and seductively said, How about we go with you and have some fun? Mai, we have been over this, we will cross that bridge when the time comes, for now we are only 13 years old, wait for the opportune time, Naruto chided. The girl nodded before she and her embarrassed companions returned to their hotel. Naruto then made way to the waterfall, very much aware of the two figures who were following him. Making his way to the waterfall, he found a small white rabbit drinking its fair share of water. He smiled softly before moving towards the edge close to the rabbit, but a fair distance away so as not to scare the animal away. The rabbit, after a few moments, started jumping towards Naruto as he felt the calming aura of the boy. He soon jumped into Naruto's lap and nuzzled into him. Naruto smiled before he lifted the animal in his arms and protectively held it. He felt the peaceful breeze and said, This is fun, isn't it, Bunny-chan? The rabbit just snuggled into his arms, showing his agreement. The rabbit stayed in his arms for a few minutes before he jumped and headed towards the bush where Naruto saw his family was waiting. Naruto smiled before he smirked. It was time to tease his stalkers. He stood up before slowly and sensually removing his clothes until he was only in his boxers. He then stretched a little, showing off his impressive body before he took a dip into the water. He then came out swaying his hair, showing off again. He smirked when he felt both of his stalkers move away at rather impressive speeds. With Stalker 1. A very red-faced Sayuri slammed the door of her home open before knocking her brother out of her way. She then ran over to her room before locking the door as she put her hand on her heart and thought, He is so hot. I have seen Ni-san shirtless, but his body was nothing in comparison. The young Uchiha thought with a very red face. With Stalker 2. Yui ran into her home with a face that matched her hair. She ignored her mother's call and rushed to her room before closing it. I should not be thinking of my brother like this, but that body and those abs were perfection. I wonder how it would feel if he held me. No, I can't think like that, Yui thought. I don't see what's wrong, Kit. Ninjas have practiced incest in the past. Not to mention your brother is definitely prime mate material. He is strong, very strong for his age. I think you should do what you want, Kyubi said. But Q, what would he think? He sees me as a sister and already have 3 of the 6 girls he needs as a part of the CRA, Yui sadly thought. I think you need a good night's sleep. They are always helpful when you are about to make a tough decision, Kyubi said, making Yui nod as she went to bed. Back with Naruto. Stepping out of the water, he moved to the waterfall and sat under it, letting the water crash against his body. He then closed his eyes and began meditating. This was something he had started to calm himself. It also helped relieve his stress, which because of his constant training was always high. While meditating, he began training his sensory abilities, extending his range. He felt a presence he had not felt in a very long time. He then smiled a little before saying, You can come out now, Uncle Hasashi. You have gotten very strong, Naruto. Being able to sense me, someone as strong as the Kage, is a feat in itself, Hasashi said as he smiled at Naruto. Hey, you give me way too much credit, Uncle Hasashi. I am merely at low Jonin level. You, on the other hand, have a moniker of Iron Fortress Hasashi. Heck, I was still surprised that you single-handedly defend several of Konoha outposts against 1,000 mist ninjas. Your and Hokage Dano's generation is full of monsters, Naruto lightly commented. Hey, that's not true. Hasashi tried to argue until Naruto gave him a deadpan stare before saying, Yeah, the Kuroi Senko killing 1,000 IWA ninja. The Red Death killing 1,000 Kumo ninja and beating the 7 swordsmen of the mist, while you the Iron Fortress Hisashi did the same to 1,000 Miss Nin. Heck, even other villages had guys like Kumo had Igigi and B Nissen, Iwa had Kitsuchi, and the mist followed through with the Hozuki and the Hashigaki. He dryly finished, making Hisashi chuckle. Well, you do have a point, we were awesome. But that's not what I am here to talk about, Hisashi said. Oh, how can I help you then, Uncle Hisashi? Before you ask, I can't give away any village secrets, I am completely loyal to Kumo, Naruto answered. Oh, nothing of sorts, I wanted to ask a favor of you, Hisashi replied. Oh, what kind of favor? Asked Naruto. Listen, first I want to give you some fatherly advice. Holding on to the past and having grudges will ultimately bite you in the ass. Listen, I am not going to ask you to outright forgive your parents. The only thing I want for you to do is to warm up the idea of at least listening to what they have to say, he said. Naruto was quiet for a few minutes before he said, I am sorry, Uncle Hisashi, but this is something I cannot agree to. Both of them ignored me first before throwing me away. I am sure the way I left the village was their downing. After all, they did say that I didn't act like a Namikaze and maybe should focus on being one. If that is all, I shall be leaving, Uncle Hisashi. Hisashi's mind was running at several miles an hour now. He didn't know of this fact, and the timing coincided with it all too well. Hisashi wasn't surprised that Naruto thought he was abandoned and thrown away. If anything, Hisashi would have thought the same thing. He frowned as he knew he had another talk with Minato coming. He then looked at the figure of Naruto walking. He couldn't help but feel sad at what he had gone through. However, that did create a feeling of pride as he knew his surrogate nephew had grown up to be an amazing individual. However, before he could walk off, he felt a strong chakra signature to his right. Looking, he saw B standing there. B and Hisashi had a shaky relationship. They had met on the battlefield several times and respected the strength they possessed, but that was it. To what do I owe this pleasure to Yatsuki? Asked Hisashi. I want to say one thing, Hyuga. Tell your village to stay away from my younger brother. This place has tortured him enough already. He doesn't need to relive all those bad memories just because someone of you misses him. B growled out in a completely different voice. What makes you say that? All we are doing is trying to bring him back home. He belongs in Konoha no matter what you or anyone else thinks, Hisashi said with a little anger seeping in through his voice. As if you know anything. You didn't see the kid grow up. You didn't see him wake up screaming and crying at night. You didn't see him train himself to exhaustion just to get his mind of what this place did to him. He survived because of our timely intervention. Him finding a family in Kumo along with the love of his life is what brought him back. Had Darui not met him, you well know what would have happened to him. So don't you go pretending you know everything when you can't even begin to understand anything that he went through, B shouted. Hisashi looked at the angry man in front of him and could see the visage of a giant-tailed bull right behind him. This was a fight he knew he would lose. While being a high-tier S-rank nin on his own, Hisashi knew he was no match for B, who was SS rank with full control on his Biju. A fight right now wasn't the wise thing to aim for. What do you know what Naruto wants? For all you know, he could want to join Konoha again, Hisashi argued. Naruto has had an open choice more than once to return to Kumo in the past. Every time he chose to stay in Kumo. You don't believe me? Then go ask that sensei of yours and his other 2 Sannin teammates. They will tell you exactly what you need to know. And one last thing before I go. If I spot another attempt to get him back using the emotional path, I will go Hachibi on this village. Consequences and political backlash. Go to hell. Be warned. Before he disappeared in a lightning shushin. Hisashi stood there for a few minutes, fully comprehending the gravity of the situation before he slowly walked towards the Namikaze estate. He needed some answers and needed to give over some messages. Alright then, let's do this, Yugito said as she along with her teammates walked towards the academy to start the Chunin exams. Naruto didn't say anything except giving a sharp nod of his head, while Atsui ranted about hotness. While they walked to the academy, felt a few eyes on him. Subtly glancing to the side, he saw several civilians looking at him and talking. Channeling a little chakra, he listened in on the whispering. Just what does he think he is doing here? Has he not soiled the name of Yondaime-sama enough? What a disgrace, he could never become a ninja here, so he joins another cursed village. Naruto clenched his eyes shut as his hands balled into fists. He was beyond angry and pissed. Turning to his teammates, he said, Yugito, Atsui, I am going to change the objective of our mission. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? Yugito asked, with Atsui nodding along quietly as he saw how serious Naruto sounded. Our mission was to win the Chunin exams. I am not going to do that anymore. I am going to crush any and everyone in front of me. Be it a ninja from any village. These bastards will learn firsthand why I have been marked as the Godame Raikage despite being a genin firsthand. Naruto snarled out. I don't think we should do that. I mean, we just have to win, right? Humiliating them won't do any good. Yugito tried to reason but sweated a little when Naruto looked at her sharply. Seeing a little fear in her eyes, Naruto sighed before patting her on the head a little bit, and saying, you don't have to if you don't want to. But that doesn't mean that I want. In these exams, anyone who is not a Kumo nin will face a maelstrom. Saying that, he turned around and started walking towards the academy. Yugito sighed as she looked at Naruto walk away. Atsui, however, had a solemn look on his face. No genin had seen Naruto fighting at full strength. The only instance he had seen Naruto at full strength was when Naruto went head-to-head against the Mizukage. He knew there was no genin alive who could currently take on Naruto who was able to put down a Kage. Entering the academy, they learned that the first test was to take part in room number 302. Climbing the stairs up, he saw a door labeled 302, however he sensed a layer of chakra on it, and immediately realized one thing: genjutsu. Turning to his team, he informed them of his finding and told them to follow him through. As they walked towards the next flight of stairs, Naruto saw two members of the genin team he had seen in the mist. They were begging the henge Chunin to let them through. He figured they were employing the use of deception to make other teams view them as easy targets. As they passed Niji, whose eyes briefly met Naruto's, they heard the arrogant voice of Sasuke say, "Drop that genjutsu and let us pass." Naruto groaned a bit and looked over to Niji and said, "Is every Konoha ninja an idiot, or is he an exception?" asked Naruto. "He is an exception. Anyways, I shall face you in the exams. For now, I need to collect my team." Saying that, Niji moved away. Naruto paid no attention to what was happening and back in the courtyard and started moving back up the stairs, his team following closely. Entering the room, he was hit by the killing intent from the genin that had gathered around the room. He scoffed inwardly when he felt the intent, before grinning to himself. He then released all of his killing intent, sending it flying around the room. In a few moments, most of the genin were on their knees gasping for breath, with only a few standing. Nodding to himself, he stopped emitting his intent before going with his team and standing in a corner. Leaning against the wall, he closed his eyes and waited. Several other genin teams ran out of the room as soon as they got over the feeling of the intent. "Was that necessary, Naruto? You sent away a lot of competitors." "Hot," Atsui said. "If they can't handle a little killing intent, then they aren't fit to call themselves ninja and should start up some other careers," Naruto offhandedly said. Atsui nodded. He couldn't find fault in Naruto's logic. Naruto, however, continued and said, "Apart from that, now we know which teams are worth fighting against." "That was mean, Naruto-kun. I wanted to play with those kiddies." The voice of Mai droned in as she, Haku, and Sujetsu along with Team Samui made their way to the group. Now Mai-chan, you know I did it to save those poor souls from your wrath," Naruto offhandedly said as he kissed her on the cheek. Soon, however, Team 7 from Konoha entered and a loud squeal of Sasuke-kun was heard, which was soon followed by a shout of "Get away, Ino pig." Naruto scoffed as he looked at the fangirls in front of him, wondering how on earth did they become ninjas in the first place. He zoned the group out, completely ignoring the look his sister sent him before he sensed a signature that was way too large to be a genin. A Konoha genin who was about a few years older than them made his way to the rookie group. He had silver hair made into a ponytail. He also wore full moon specs. Naruto largely ignored him before he perked up after hearing that the older genin had several ninja info cards that had information on every genin taking part in the exams. "So who do you want to know about?" Kabuto asked. "Uzumaki Naruto of Kumo, Gaara of the Sand, and Rock Lee of the Leaf," Sasuke said. "Ah, you know their names already, that's boring. Anyways, let's see. First we have Rock Lee of the Leaf. He is a genin from Konoha who specializes in taijutsu. Because of a medical condition, he cannot use chakra for ninjutsu or even genjutsu for that matter. His team consists of Niji Hyuga and Ten Higurashi. His Jonin sensei is none other than Konoha's beautiful green beast Might Guy. He has completed 172 D rank missions and 43 C rank missions along with an A rank. Moving on to Gaara of the Sand. Wow! His record is amazing. His teammates consist of his siblings Temari no Sabaku and Kankuro no Sabaku. He is the son of the Kazekage, and his Jonin sensei is the second strongest active ninja that the Sand has to offer. Baki of the Sand. He has completed over 27 C ranks, 27 B ranks, and 5 A ranks. The strangest part is that he has never been scratched on a mission and has always returned unharmed. And now we finally go to Naruto Uzumaki. However, before Kabuto could answer, a small wave of lightning hit the card head on, incinerating it. Everyone turned their heads in the direction from which the lightning wave had originated and saw Naruto blowing the smoke of his fingertips before he looked at the group and grinned. Ino then shouted, "You baka, why did you destroy the information that Sasuke-kun asked for?" The only response she got was an intense killer intent that sent her on her knees and made her nearly pass out. Don't talk to me, you worthless fangirl, you are not worth my time. He snarled out as he ceased his killing intent, making Ino cough out. Turning to Kabuto, he stared directly into his eyes before saying, and you'd do well not revealing information on me. I'd hate to kill someone before the exams even started. Kabuto sweated a little before nodding. Soon a puff of smoke was heard in the room and everyone turned to look at the front of the room. Standing there was a tall man with a scarred face. He had a bandana on which gave him a very threatening appearance. Everyone back off. No petty squabbles unless you want to fail in these exams. Am I clear? Asked the man. Crystal, Naruto said with a nod. The man then looked Naruto with a calculating gaze for a few moments before turning to the room and saying, my name is Ibiki Marino, and I will be the proctor for the first exam. I will not take any questions and will reveal the rules only once. The first part of the Chunin exams will be a written test. It consists of 10 questions. Cheating is not allowed and you along with your teammates will be disqualified. Any member having 0 points will automatically be disqualified along with his team. You will get the 10th question after 45 minutes. Get on your assigned seats and get started. Naruto soon found his seat and found it to be in between a female Hyuga from Konoha and Temari of the Sand. He turned over his test as soon as he was signaled and raised an eyebrow as soon as he saw the first question. These aren't questions that a normal genin should be able to answer. Heck, even newly minted Chunins will find these hard. What's going on? Regardless, I know enough of them to pass. Naruto thought before he started writing. Around 20 minutes later, Naruto sighed as he stopped writing and thought, good, I am done here. Now to see what the others are up to. Looking up, he first looked over to the other Kumo genin teams and found them to be breezing through. The only one who seemed to be struggling was Atsui. Naruto created a crystal mirror before reflecting his answers at Atsui, who gave him a thankful nod before copying down the answers. He noted that Yugito and Yui both had found the answers thanks to their bijus. Sasuke and Satsuki both had used the Sharingan to copy the hand movements of a few other candidates. He noticed that both the female Hyuga and Niji had their Byakugans active and were using it, so scout answers from around the room. He noticed Niji's teammates helping each other using ninja wire and a mirror. He was also glad to see some of Konoha's other clans in action. It would provide him a good base to work on when he faced them in the future. He saw the Inuzuka genin send of his Niken before communicating with him for the answers. The Aburame sent a few bugs to scout around for answers. The weak Yamanaka entered her rival's mind and copied her answers. The Nara used his shadow to help his friend the Akimichi to get the answers down. Nodding to himself, he put his head on his table, and began waiting. Around 25 minutes later, Ibiki spoke up again and said, all right, maggots, pencils down, it's time for the 10th question. Now here are the rules. If you don't take the question, you will be forced to leave along with your teammates. However, if you take the question and get it wrong, you will never be allowed to become Chunins again. So what's it gonna be? He finished with a sadistic grin. The room immediately broke out into protests from the genin, who screaming profanities and about unfairness. However, all of it ceased when they were hit by Ibiki's killing intent. Silence, roared Ibiki. I won't hear any complaints. I am the god in this room and I make all of these rules. You think it's unfair? Well then grow up and deal with it. Life isn't unfair. Now I am going to ask you once again, what's it going to be? The room had a very tense atmosphere. Many genin were sweating profusely as the pressure was beginning to get to them. One by one, teams started to leave. As they left, Naruto scoffed, having already figured the test out. He was merely waiting for the time to pass on. Soon after, nearly half of the partaking teams had exited the room and the room was now significantly empty. After waiting for a few minutes and seeing that no one was leaving, Ibiki grinned before saying, those who have stayed all pass. You pass, Ibiki said with a smirk. What? Most of the genin in the room shouted out in surprise. Was this test just a hoax? Temari asked. What was the point of it anyway? Asked Yugito. The test wasn't a hoax. The first 9 questions were designed to see whether you have what it takes to be at the Chunin level skill base. Ibiki answered. What do you mean? I am sure our senseis wouldn't have let us take these exams if they thought that we weren't prepared. Tenten asked. What I mean is your skill in espionage and information gathering. I am sure all of you have quite the skills when it comes to combat, but Chunins are mostly sent to spy and gather information. That was the purpose of the first 9 questions. It was to see whether you would be capable of taking in the answers from the 2 Chunins that I had planted in the room. Ibiki explained as 2 candidates stood up and waved to the crowd. So what was the point of the 10th question? A random genin asked. But before Ibiki could answer, Naruto thumped his head on the table and with a groan said, what the hell are we doing playing 20 questions for? I mean, if you weren't able to figure the test, you shouldn't even be here. He finished in a harsh and condescending tone. Yugito looked on a little surprised but stopped. She knew Naruto had a secret sadistic side that liked getting into people's heads, and by the looks of it he had managed to get into the heads of most genin, as nearly everyone in the room had started screaming profanities at Naruto, who looked bored and utterly unfazed. However, the room was hit by a strong killing intent, causing the screaming genin to quiet down. Ibiki had a smirk on his face. It seemed that at least one of the genin here had the skills and guts it needed to be a Kage-level shinobi. Well, since you think the purpose of the 10th question was so easy to figure out, why don't you tell it to us, Blondie? Ibiki said. Isn't it obvious? It was to check whether we have the mindset and the willpower to be Chunin. Ain't that right, Ibiki-san? Asked Naruto. Damn right you are, kid. Ibiki replied with an impressed smirk. What does he mean, testing our mindset and willpower? Asked Sasuke. It's simple. There are times when you will be asked to take missions that have a very low rate of survival, but you don't have a choice to say no and must take them. That's the mindset part. In our lives there are going to be several instances in which you may be caught before being tortured for information. Ibiki said as he removed his bandana, revealing a heavily scarred head, before he continued and said, being a Chunin means having willpower as hard as steel. You must never reveal information on your village regardless of the torture you are subjected to. That is what it means to be a Chunin. And since you passed this test, you have what it takes to be Chunin. Ibiki finished. How does this test even compare with being tortured? Kiba asked in confusion, drawing a chuckle from Naruto, who was once again the center of attention in the room. Isn't it obvious, Inazaka? He has been doing just that, Naruto said in an amused tone. What do you mean, Blondie? Sakura asked, just as curious. You Konoha genin seriously don't know anything about your fellow ninja. Do you have any idea who he is? Naruto said as he pointed at Ibiki with a sigh. No, who is he, Nai-chan? Yui asked. That's Ibiki Marino, the best interrogator in the elemental nations. He doesn't physically torture his victims, and can have people reveal everything there is to know in a matter of minutes. He, along with Inoichi Yamanaka and Anko Mitarashi, make up the deadliest interrogation team in the elemental nations. It is because of this that Konoha is considered to be the worst place to get caught in if you are a foreign ninja, Naruto explained calmly as the room entered a stunned silence. Hey, you seem to know too much for a genin. Blondie, care to explain why? Ibiki asked. Being the Raikage's apprentice has its perks and duties. I am required to learn of the important figures in the other villages, since I will one day take over from my uncle as the Godame Raikage, Naruto answered with a shrug. Ibiki only nodded in response as he got a satisfactory answer. However, he did think, well, Hokage-sama, I did what you asked, and from every psychological path it doesn't look like he will be coming back to Konoha. I am sorry for your loss. Alright then, that's it for the first test, Ibiki said, but wasn't able to finish as a purple blur crashed into the roof, followed by a puff of smoke which produced a large sign which read, Introducing the single and incredibly sexy Anko Mitarashi. In front of the sign was a young and very beautiful purple-haired kunoichi who wore very revealing clothing which included a simple fishnet shirt, stockings, and a large overcoat. You are early again, Anko, Ibiki said with an exasperated sigh. Damn, I thought I was on time, Anko started before she looked at the genin in the room. Seriously, Ibiki, you left 18 teams pass? You must be getting soft, asked Anko with surprise evident in her voice before it turned into a tauntive tone. Or maybe this time around the crop is more than special, Ibiki countered in a perfectly calm tone. Oh, is that so? Meh, it's of no consequence. After I am done with them there'll be less than half left. Now kiddies, I am the proctor of the second exam. Meet me at training ground 44 in 20 minutes. If you don't make it by then you will automatically be disqualified, Ja-eni Anko said before she cheerily waved at the genin and disappeared via a shushin, leaving all of the genin locked in a stupor, clearly confused by what they had just witnessed. Well, might as well get going. Let's go, Yugito, Atsui, Naruto called out to his team as he walked towards the door, pulling everyone out of their shock-induced stupor as they ran towards the door. So this is the infamous forest of death that sends shivers down the spines of even Jonin-level shinobi from around the elemental nations, huh? Can't say I am impressed, Naruto said in a condescending tone as the Chunin hopefuls stood around and waited for the second part of the exam to begin. Soon, however, he raised his hand and grabbed a kunai that was thrown out of midair. Before he could respond, he found two baggy orbs pressed against his back as the proctor hugged him from the behind. So is a little genin acting all big and brave, huh? Well, let me tell you, Brad, it's guys like you who die the quickest out in the field, Anko said with a grin. Well, even if guys like me die early out on the field, we make sure to take as many enemies with us as we can, Naruto said as he subtly gestured towards the kunai he had on Anko's stomach. Anko's eyes widened at the sight before her face broke into a grin. She then leaned into Naruto's neck and said, it seems that one genin here actually has the skills to survive. How about this? If you finish the test in record time, I will show you something good. She finished before licking him on the cheek, causing him to blush and sputter out refusals. All the boys glared at Naruto, feeling jealous of the position he was in, while Yugito, Mai, Haku, Yui and Sayuri all narrowed their eyes at Enko. They did not like the fact that some overgrown hussy was pushing herself onto their boyfriend/brother/love interest. Enko then broke the hug and then took out some papers from her pocket and said, alright then kiddies, I want you to sign these forms. They are your tickets to take part in the second exam. What exactly are these? Asked Kiba as he took 3 forms and handed one each to his teammates. These are waivers that ensure that Konoha won't be held responsible in case you die. After all, killing is allowed from this point onwards, Enko said with a grin as she watched some of the genin show horrified faces. The reactions only worsened when several loud roars were heard from within the forest. Enko grin widened as she said, oh, those are just some of the forest's residents. The best part is that every animal is several times bigger than ordinary, so if you don't want to face them, now is the time to quit. A large number of genin quit and returned to their teachers, not wanting to face the bloodlust of the creatures in the forest. Naruto, however, was more interested in the genin who stayed back as he studied the teams who were worth taking care of. Apart from the 2 IWA teams and the Suna team, he wasn't overly impressed. He already knew that this part of the exam was already in the bag since he had spent several sessions training in the moving island back home. Now then, the cowards all have already left. I want you all to come and receive one of these scrolls. To pass the exam, you need to collect the second exam and make it to tower at the center of the forest within 5 days. Enko said as she held up 2 scrolls. One of them had a kanji for heaven written on it, while the second one had a kanji for earth printed on it. Wait, what will we eat if we have to stay in there for 5 days? Asked Choji the Akimichi heir. I don't really care or know since I wasn't really told. But from what I know, there are many edible plants in the forest along with any animal you may or may not wish to hunt for food. However, I will warn you, it is very easy for the predator to become the prey inside that forest. Any other questions? Anyone? Enko said with an airy wave of her hand before she asked in an interested tone. Just one. Can we quit the exam during the task? Asked Shikamaru the Nara heir. You can't quit the exam midway, kiddo. If you don't want to take part in this exam, now would be a good time to quit, Enko said as she looked over to the Nara heir. This test is so troublesome, but if I quit now, I will have to constantly deal with the troublesome blonde and then my troublesome mother. It is better to take this troublesome test than deal with those 2. So troublesome. The Nara heir muttered to himself in annoyance, making several genin chuckle at the lazy pineapple-haired genin's misfortune. Alright then, a final instruction is that do not under any circumstances open your scrolls. Opening them will result in automatic disqualification from the exams, Enko said as she warned the genin about the possible results of their unsated curiosity. What happens if we open them during the test, Enko-ne-chan? Asked Yui as she lightly tilted her head to the right. Mini Kushina-sensei. I didn't see you there. Well, apart from you getting disqualified of the test, there is one more thing that I am not really interested in telling you about, Enko said, making Yui fell down as she cried out anime tears. Is there any other thing of importance? Asked Samui in a stoic tone. No, there isn't, Enko said as she pulled out a stick of dango and began munching on it. Alright then, that is it for the briefing. All of you go to your assigned gates and wait for the signal to begin, Enko said as the genin shuffling. Naruto then turned to Mai and Haku and said, good luck you two. After saying that, he looked over to Yui and Sayuri, and after catching their eyes he nodded at them silently, wishing them good luck. Both girls warmly smiled at him before running over to grab their scroll and moving to their gate. Naruto grabbed an earth scroll from one of the proctors before he and his team moved towards their gate. A few minutes, a loud siren was heard indicating the starting of the exam. Not waiting for a moment, all of the Chunin hopefuls rushed in. Naruto and his team were seen running through the forest. 100 meters into the forest, Naruto's keen senses suddenly pick up some odd disturbances. Stopping his team, he says, be very careful, the forest has some evil in it. Of course it has evil in it, this is supposedly a forbidden forest, Yugito pointed out. Not in that way, my senses have picked up 2 very large chakra signatures in this forest. One is located in way to cover this wing of the forest, while the other is nearly opposite, Naruto said with a frown. What has that got to do with anything? Yugito asked, slightly perplexed. The strategical advantage of their positions. It's almost as if they are trying to catch someone, Naruto said, his frown deepening. What do you mean? Who could it be and who is target? Asked Atsu with a curious expression. 2 entries with unknown Kage level ninjas waiting. No matter how talented a genin is, they will either be killed or ignored. Since they are here, they are most likely rogue ninja. And since they are rogue, I am sure they are here for some rather influential individuals. The question is who? Let's stop for a moment, I need to think. Naruto said as his face scrunched into a thinking one. A few moments later his face widened in realization before he gritted his teeth in anger and frustration. Taking a deep breath, he looked at Yugito and said, Yugito, and you are the ones they are after. I need to get you both to safety. Before Yugito could answer, Naruto disappeared in a burst of speed before appearing behind and knocking her out with a chop on the neck. He then made a quick status seal before sending the static Yugito into a storage seal. As soon as he was finished, he looked over to Atsui and said, Can I trust you to head to the tower with this scroll? I will get our second scroll and meet you there. Atsui nodded, not questioning Naruto even for a second. He knew exactly that this was the best course of action if Naruto had taken it. He pocketed the scroll before running towards the tower while Naruto created 2 shadow clones and had them hinged into his teammates before they ran directly towards the first signature. Soon they were within the signature's location. Just as Naruto and his hinged clones were about to cross it, they were intercepted by a large shark-like man who had a large sword on his back. Naruto immediately jumped back and drew his sword and said, Who are you and what do you want?